What a beautiful day for Frankenberry, the world's super sweet new cereal.
Phooey! Here's the world's super sweet new cereal called Chocula.
Pickle, I've got berry-flavored sweeties for monstrous strawberry flavor.
Well, I've got chocolate sweeties for monstrous chocolate flavor.
Frankenberry
Called Chocula.
Meow. Frankenberry
Called Chocula.
The following is a presentation of ABC Sports. Join us this February for our exclusive coverage from Lake Placid, New York, when the world comes to America for the 1980 Winter Olympics.
One doesn't think of Atlanta, Georgia as an ice skating capital, but it has been this week as big crowds have come to the Omni Arena for the 1980 U.S. Figure Skating Championships. With the Olympics still almost a month away, the pressure is already being felt. Here were Ty Babylonia and Randy Gardner, the U.S. and World Pairs champions, in the short program, the first of two phases of their competition. Ty, here, falling of a double flip. Not the sort of thing you'd expect from world champions, but this is an Olympic year and nerves are tight. Linda Fradiani is another world champion pointing for the Olympics. You might think that the national championship would be easy, a mere way station on the Olympic road. Not so. Again in the short program, Linda had that mishap, and watch for another one coming up, putting additional pressure on her for the 4-minute free skating program that's yet to come and that we'll be seeing today. The pressure is on. And in figure skating, you're all alone in the spotlight. There's no place to hide. It should be an exciting afternoon. Both national titles and places on the United States Olympic team are at stake as we cover the pairs and ladies singles competition in the 1980 United States Figure Skating Championships.
This was the scene 1 week ago. Kitzbühel, Austria. The Hahnenkamm downhill. A young, gutsy Canadian roaring to victory down perhaps alpine skiing's most dangerous course. Ken reads the name, a name to remember in Lake Placid. He beat the best the Europeans had to offer, and he beat them on their own track. Today, the second of the Hahnenkamm events is slalom. As in the downhill, the world's finest racers are here, including the incomparable Ingemar Stenmark and America's Phil Mayer. You'll see them today on Wide World of Sports.
In the past dozen years, it has become an institution on Wide World of Sports. Every winter, the flamenco beat lures us south of the border to Acapulco, Mexico's Pacific playground, where the cultural traditions of Cortez's empire mingle with the modern Western penchant for long nights in the discos and breakfast on the beach. But the flashing feet of the flamenco stars form a sharp contrast to the heart of our mission to Acapulco. The fearless composure and concentration of the men who dive from the city's oceanside cliffs. Their display is the centerpiece of the tourist season here, and the reason we have come back again for the 12th International Cliff Diving Championship. Mexico against the United States in high diving's most glamorous event.
Also, today on Wide World, an up-to-the-minute report on the proposed boycott of the Moscow Olympics. You'll hear from some of America's top track and field athletes reacting to yesterday's meeting between U.S. Olympic Committee officials and Secretary of State Cyrus Vance. For more on today's program, here's Keith Jackson.
Also today, a report from Hamar, Norway on the final events of the 1980 Women's World Speed Skating Championships, with Beth Hayden of Madison, Wisconsin, defending her overall title. Beth in second place in the overall standings after the first two races. Soviet skater Natalia Petrashova, the leader, and showing surprising form in the pre-Olympic weeks.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. This
is ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Brought to you by Anheuser-Busch Incorporated St. Louis, brewers of Michelob beer. Weekends were made for Michelob. And by Firestone, makers of the 721 steel-belted radio. In 77 years, Firestone has never built a tire in which they've had more confidence.
If you want to get back to your favorite places and feel confident they have put your health and safety first,
look for the Well Health Safety Seal.
Look for the Well Health Safety Seal.
Look for the Well Health Safety Seal.
I'm Dr. Richard Carmona, the 17th Surgeon General of the United States of America. This is the Well Health Safety Seal from the International Well Building Institute, the global authority on healthy buildings.
The Well Health Safety Rating was informed by years of research and input from hundreds of leading virologists, public health experts, epidemiologists, and building professionals around the world.
You'll see it at schools, offices, banks, childcare centers, all the places we go.
The Well Health Safety Seal means that we'll feel better going into restaurants,
theaters, stores, hotels,
stadiums, and all the places that we love.
Everything may look the same, but the Well Health Safety Seal means that your health and safety are top of mind when it comes to
cleaning and sanitizing procedures,
air and water quality management,
emergency preparedness programs,
and health services.
So look for the Well Health Safety Seal outside
and feel more confident going inside. Learn more about the Well Health Safety Rating at wellhealthsafety.com.
What up, cyberspace cadets? That's right. It's a Friday. You know what that means. It's time for the Cream Stream with the Cream Team. What's up, everybody?
Hey.
Yeah, we're going to talk about what we just looked at and got a little bit more information. Beck and I kind of were talking about this last night, and I found something on Sky TV about it. So, and we'll be looking at that in a little bit. The wellness thing. Uzi and I saw that thing about 2 months ago. And we're going, what the fuck is that? You know, and I'm like, it sounds like a fucking grift to me. You know, because it's like proof, stamp of approval, and it goes into find out how much it costs. You know, so of course it costs something. You know, that's
but it's got actors, all right. It must be right.
Well, and it's all the ones that 4chan says are like, you know, in the Illuminati and shit too. So.
I refuse to believe that Jenny from the Block is bad.
Jenny from the Block.
Come on. You've got the star of God knows how many mafia films on there telling you that you need a well building sticker. What could be wrong
Robert
with
De
that?
Niro.
I want the one that says like masks not allowed in this building.
Right.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Tell me where those are.
No necessary mask, sir. You get the fuck out of here if you're wearing one. Should make masks that have like a poop stain on them that looks like you wiped with it.
Oh, it reminds me of the coffee shop in Florida that's refusing service to teachers that refuse to go to work.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, not allowed. Damn. I love it.
Yeah, there's more
can't-
hypocrisy from that bunch. Jesus. There's
yeah.
one thing about the Dems, they're not short on the double standards.
Did you know that childcare workers aren't getting work because, you know, there's no kids to watch while parents go to work because they work from home now?
That's right.
That's bad. That's bad.
Either that or kids
really
went where the
weird.
flu went.
You know,
Didn't
but
Congress give more money to childcare? Also, black women most affected too, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes, the home care service workers, which is majority black women.
That sounds racist to me.
You have to give billions of dollars to that. Yeah.
I mean, it is, but people get stuff, so it's not racist. You know, free shit.
Define home care. These like in-home nurses? Are they housekeepers?
Care for yourself at home. You know, you wipe your butt, you brush
Are you
your teeth
sure?
if you wanna.
Yeah, but I'm not hiring some black chick to wipe my ass.
damn, I didn't know I could.
I'm not hiring anybody to wipe my ass.
I'm gonna try.
I will. Fuck, point me in the right direction. That's awesome.
I've been able to wipe my own ass since I was like 4 or 5. At the
Oh yeah,
latest.
well, yeah,
So-
but I mean, come on. I mean, I'll totally pay someone to come wipe my ass.
Well,
Hell yeah.
I imagine
Hey,
the ones
I'm
that
not
are
kink
hiring.
shaming.
I'm imagining the ones that hire someone to wipe their ass has deep-seated mommy issues. Why
Like
breastfed
that
his
shit.
children.
Or no arms.
Yeah, there's a lot of infantilism. Yeah, in this in the Zoomer group. Have you noticed that?
Yes. Because nobody's forcing them to grow up.
Well, no, this is something that I've kind of picked up on. It's like the older I've gotten, the more nostalgia has become more and more. It's like one group of people, you know, it was like, you know, nostalgia for when they were 10 years old, and then it was 9, and then it was 8, and then it was 7, right? And now it's like it's getting to the point of where, you know, people want to play in their poop all day long, and call it, you know, and
Play-Doh.
Yeah, and call it a choice, a preference, as it
Oh,
were.
the diaper people. I know they have like an official name. The adult
And
diaper
let's lower
people.
the voting
ADBL,
to
yeah, adult diaper,
yeah. Adult baby diaper.
diaper love.
Yeah, the gross people.
Back in my day,
ABBL.
back in my day when we were 16, we were banging,
Yeah.
driving,
Other 16
trying
year-olds.
to drive, and getting fucked up.
All right,
Fuck
all
having
right, all
kids.
right.
There was this whole movement. There was this whole movement in the boomer generation where they got mad at their parents for making them grow up. And then the millennial generation came along, or Gen X came along, and it got worse. You know, it was more of a, why should I have to grow up? And
Right.
then millennials said, I won't grow up. And now you got the Zoomers coming along saying, what does grow up mean?
I don't want
Right.
to go up. I'm a Toys R Us
Well, I
kid.
mean, that's the me and Uzi. It's like we were talking about that the other day. It's like, you know, it's like I told her, I said, you can get old, I ain't.
Well, okay. There's also a misnomer or a misconception of Zoomers being really kind of frenetic and out of their minds and childish. I'm picking up on this a lot, but I have 3 Zoomers in my house, and all of my Zoomers talk to a multitude of other Zoomers because they're all basically
Yeah, but they also have a married, you know, cis hetero normative
Yeah, I know.
couple, you know, raising them, you know, and like reading's a thing, in your house. Right? Yeah. So.
But I was going to say, there's a whole network of other kids, so don't lose too much hope.
Yeah.
Because while some of them are incredibly infantile, a lot of them are incredibly skeptical and kind of a lot of based.
Oh, and like that kid, the Lieutenant Corbus kid, I guess she's older now, but she goes by Sewer Nugget on Twitter.
I remember that. That little girl that used to cuss up a storm.
Yeah, man. Yeah. She was fucking based as hell.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. I can't even remember her name, man. Yeah.
Or Soph. Soph is another good example.
That's exactly who I'm talking about. She used to be Lieutenant Corbus, and then she became Soph. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's her and her brother. It's a good. That's worthy of catching. Good fucking content from a kid, man. Jesus.
Fucking amazing, dude. The way she breaks down articles and or breaks down arguments, not articles. She breaks down articles as a kid is just incredible.
Well, how old is she? I don't know who this is.
She was 14. She was 13 and 14 at the time that she was really big, and then YouTube yeeted her, and now she's on Freedom.tv with Gavin McGinnis.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know that
she's legit, man. Yeah.
Fuck, she's still funny as hell.
I bet.
Ah.
JP21 TVE, thanks for the $1. I appreciate that. Every little penny counts. Do you think that's supposed to make the tranny go away? It's going to take more than $1, man.
He probably enjoys.
I don't know. Yeah, Demon Tranny's getting an attitude, and she or whatever pronouns are, says it's going to take a little more than that. She's accusing you. She's accusing you of saying she's cheap. She's cheap.
I do appreciate the message attached to it, though. That is funny as heck.
I can't read anything.
It says message deleted by Nacho Damas the Great on the super chat.
Nacho Damas timed him out.
Oh.
That's
so
funny.
his message was that afterwards he said, "Here's a Biden buck."
What? Here's a Biden buck?
JP's being pretty tame in the chat since Irate yelled at him last stream. So
I didn't mean to embarrass y'all. Yeah.
No, you're always good, Irate. But I think we should let JP
had to go white.
Because he was warned.
Yeah.
I think he'll be a good boy tonight.
Yeah. But if he does say words that he knows that Google don't like, trying to get me demonetized, now that can be viewed as be careful what you say, be nice. We try to love each other over here.
Sorry.
I mean, it's Easter weekend. We celebrate the risen Christ, right?
That's right.
It is a Good Friday.
It's a Good Friday, indeed.
Nope.
And,
it's Saturday for me.
Is it? Is it? Are you in Australia? Are you in Australia?
It's 12:14 for me.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're
all right, we're gonna make the DT. I got the cleansing flames. The cleansing flames to destroy.
Yes, to destroy.
Yes, to destroy and cleanse. Oh.
Ralph, help us. Stop just drinking your goddamn Coke, you son of a bitch.
Right. Now we're all right, so it's the 2 minutes of hate. Sorry. Man, I gotta move these flames towards the tranny head because it's like, oh shit, but that won't work because
stuff and stuff.
It is what it is.
And things.
Nice.
Those look like the hell. Is that from Spawn? They look like the Spawn flames from the old movie.
What, these?
They look pretty similar.
Those look like a lot of the ones you find all over the place.
That's the new blast, the blast flame.
It's cute.
So
I was looking for popcorn gifts the other day. I was gonna have a little popcorn cat skating. I can't find one.
Oh, dude, that would be cool though. You know what? I always lost on nothing else. Are you sure you still don't want your wrench, man? You've earned it. For God's sakes.
He wants to stand out.
You ever
Indeed.
take down the first letter of Always' name? It says alone. Ryder taught me that.
You didn't notice that right away?
No, I never do. Gaming had to point it out to me.
Yeah.
Is that like how
Yeah, you did. I
Is
was
that like
wait
how
a
it
second.
took? Is that like how it took AP 2 years to figure out what gaming and yelling stood for?
I didn't know either.
Me neither. Me neither. Me neither. I didn't even realize he was gay for like
Don't
3
look at it,
months.
see it? Yeah, none of us noticed it until he gaming.
Man, we got that.
First he had to- I didn't know Addie was gay for fucking like 6 months.
Man, Ann Frankenberry and fucking Stone Mexican guy out there. Hey, what's up, y'all? Yeah, man. Dumbbeard, of course. Greetings, sir. It's nice seeing Dumbbeard in the chat. Welcome to the fam. You know, it's like a Hotel California. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
That was one of my old favorite karaoke songs to do.
Can you dig it?
What a warm.
Got a few numbers singing that song karaoke style. It's pretty good.
Mm.
I had a blast with it. I'd just get shitty and start running around tables.
Nice.
Serenading the girls by themselves.
Sweet. So this week's been kind of weird politics-wise and news-wise. It's been a strange, it's just, man, I don't know. We've slid into yet another alternate universe.
Hells.
I know. It's just like sliding down staircase on our asses, just slowly, one at a time. Bonk, 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 bonk. It gets weirder and weirder, you know? Yeah.
Tailbone 14 times each step. Yeah, my butt crack hurts.
Dude.
You ever fall out of bed or something and bust your tailbone?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I fell out of somebody else's bed once like that. I just laid on the floor. I was like,
have you ever rolled off a top bunk of a bed, man?
Yeah, I've hurt my tailbone a couple times. That's not fun. It's hard to stand up and down again, and you look like an invalid. And
Especially when you land your narrow ass on ice. Ugh.
Yeah.
Once was snowboarding. I was the only time I went snowboarding.
I'm pretty good on that.
It was fun. It was really fun though.
Yeah, the Gates thing, I don't know about that either, man. I saw him on Tucker when it happened, and it looked weird as shit. So I don't know.
What happened?
Matt Gaetz, the politician, he's a congressman from Florida.
Florida, yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of locked up in some kind of deal where they said that he was messing around with a 17-year-old and had her flown across state lines to Georgia, so she would be legal. Yeah, I don't know, man. Oh man, I wonder if that's where they got that shit. You know, if they got that shit off of 4chan, that's exactly where that came from.
Right.
Okay, I was gonna say because Matt Getz isn't he like engaged?
I think he just got married.
Oh, he just got married. Okay.
That's right.
Put that dick down now.
Okay, so I heard on another stream that they have come out, they meaning the media, have come out and said that they got it wrong. And it was just that he had a whole lot of sex because he was single.
Yay.
So
Okay.
there's nothing to this story.
So
like 99% of their stories.
But I haven't been able to find that, and I've heard 2 streamers talk about it. So
Right.
there's got to be something somewhere.
All right, so JP, we got you. We got you spotted there, bro.
if they're legal, I don't care.
Right?
I don't either.
I really fucking don't. I'm so tired of this.
It's not
You
news.
guys want to hear something crazy? The Cash Me Outside girl just turned 18, started an OnlyFans, and made $1 million in 6 hours.
Are you serious?
Oh my god.
I'm completely serious.
Oh my
What
god, that's funny
the
as shit.
flying fuck, man.
Dude, she's just fucking pure trash. Who would pay money to look at that? She's garbage. I don't get it. See, I'm telling you, we're in the wrong fucking universe. What the
Acme
fuck?
outside. Mm-hmm.
I can agree with
Oh
this.
my God. Dr. Phil's like, you got to get the card out of the ditch now that it's in there, no matter who and how it got there. You just got to have it out and put it back on the road.
Do there are people like with like one of those timers, like counting down until she turns 18 or whatever?
I'm sure.
I don't know, man.
Whoa.
Dude, I didn't. Why? Where is this coming from? This is not my universe.
Have y'all ever seen Dr. Phil's house? Because that's a crazy place. It's
well, you know,
Isn't it, like super ugly, like gaudy as fuck or something?
He's got dolls all over the place.
His son married a fucking a playmate that was one of triplets.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did he get the ugly one?
Right? Playboy triplets. You tell me, you know.
Well, I mean, I'm sure one of them.
The ugly one's a 12.
A little worse than
right?
the others.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a 12 out of 10.
Yeah.
And the other ones are what, 15s? But yeah, he's got a weird ass house, and he's got a gun collection and shit.
Guns bad, okay, you know.
Dr. Phil's place is weird. I'm just saying.
Guns are bad.
I'm surprised you know about that, Trippy. That scares me.
I think I heard a streamer talking about it one day, and I was like, I should Google that. I want to see what he's talking about. Can't remember who it was.
Well, yeah, Jeff Holiday was on there and shit. So it's, you know, legit.
Yeah,
Jeff looks
going
like
up
he smells
against
like Nancy still.
the Jilly
Jelly
Juice lady.
Yeah.
Jilly
That's
Juice,
right.
that's right.
Good old
I
Jelly
remember.
Juice.
You know,
All right.
he's not that good at building an argument, in my opinion. Sorry.
Yeah, it's fine.
Sorry, I was just complaining that Jeff Holiday is actually really bad at building arguments, and the fact that he tries to claim he's all sciencey is really frustrating, because many of his arguments are not even rational, let alone linear, so they aren't very sciencey.
No. He's like a mini Armored skeptic.
Yeah, I hate his arguments. I can't stand his arguments.
Yeah,
They're lazy.
I don't watch them.
They're lazy.
Back in the day, I did.
I've seen a couple of his.
All right, so
yeah,
we're going to just jump in the deep end on this news thing, and yeah, this is the Panzer crawl here. We got.
Did you see the new I posted in the toilet earlier?
No, man.
No.
That's pretty good.
Oh, okay. Have to check that out. Oh, excuse me.
The very first one, the AOC one.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Oh, yeah, check this out. It's opening with her. So, speak of the devil. All right, I'm going to turn the audio down just a little bit. The music's just a little too hot. Running a little too hot with that awesome soundtrack, man. And here we go.
Are you for real? So let's talk about this, because so much of our national conversation, which is not a conversation, about immigration is driven by people who could not care less about immigrants.
Sound, Irate.
Often people want to say, why are you talking?
Oh, shit. Okay, hold on a second. All right, I got to kill this. All right, there we go. All right, I'll back it up, yeah. Right, because...
Back it up.
Back it up. Oops.
That taught me good.
Not that I'm in a hurry to listen to AOC talk, but
all right, so here's a question she got during one of her Instagram streams. Damn it, I missed another one. Why are you not addressing the border crisis and the kids in cages like you used to? All right, and this triggers the shit out of her, of course, because you know it punches her right in the fifis.
Are you for real? So let's talk about this, because so much of our national conversation, which is not a conversation, about immigration is driven by people who could not care less about immigrants. Often people want to say, why are you talking about the border crisis? Or why are you talking about it in this way? Well, we're talking about it. They just don't like how we're talking about it, because it's not a border crisis. It's an imperialism crisis. It's a climate crisis. It's a trade crisis. And also, it's a carceral crisis, because as I have already said, even during this term and this president, our immigration system is based and designed on our carceral system. Those are some of the problems. What about the solution? Well, number one, our solutions need to be rooted in foreign policy because our interventionist history in foreign policy and history over decades of destabilizing regions drive people. But people don't want to have that conversation. Secondly, let's talk about the climate crisis because the U.S. has disproportionately contributed to the total amount of emissions that is causing a planetary climate crisis right now. But who is bearing the brunt of that? It's actually not us. We help create the problem, but disproportionately it's the global South. It's South Asia, it's Latin America that are going to be experiencing the floods, wildfires, and droughts in a disproportionate way, which ding has already started a migration crisis.
The White House still refusing to allow reporters into packed migrant facilities like the one you're seeing right now. And Senator Ted Cruz clashing with what appears to be a Biden administration staffer over filming the cramped conditions. Watch this.
You don't want the pictures taken. The rules are arbitrary and they're designed to keep the American people in the dark. Are you respecting the rights of these kids?
This is not a zoo, sir. Please don't treat the people.
You're right, and this is a dangerous place.
Please don't treat the
and
people
your
like this.
policies,
That's all I ask for
unfortunately,
you,
are
sir.
trying to hide them. I understand
That's
you
all
were
I ask
instructed when 18
I
senators
ask you
came
to
down
please
here.
respect the people, give them dignity
I
and
respect them, and I
respect.
want to fix this situation.
We all want to
and
fix
the
it, sir. We
administration
don't
you're
want
working
this to
for is
happen
responsible for these conditions.
The overcrowding at border facilities is set to get worse, with officials expecting the surge in child migrants to last for 7 months. And as for transparency, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki is promising to let the cameras in.
At this point, in terms of allowing access to Border Patrol facilities for reporters, you are being less transparent than the Trump administration.
The Trump administration was turning away kids at the border, sending them back on the treacherous journey, or they were ripping kids from the arms of their parents. We're not doing that. We are committed to allowing cameras into the Border Patrol facilities.
So much to talk about. Tucker, I want to start with you. You know D.C. journalists very well. And while many of them have said they're frustrated, they're not furious about the access. Why do you think that is?
Well, because it's their candidate. I mean, they just got him elected. So, I mean, they can't start criticizing him now. I think there are a lot of details we can't see because cameras aren't let in. I think the big picture is really clear. Many thousands of people are arriving into this country. Most of them will not leave. All of them, according to Joe Biden, are on track to become citizens. So there are 2 points that people are not considering, and I think they should be. One is the allocation of political power. We talk about voting rights. In a democracy, demographics equals political power. So if you change the demographics of the country, if you bring in a lot more people without the consent of the governed, you dilute the political power of the people who live here. That's a really meaningful thing. And we're talking huge numbers. I started in journalism 30 years ago. 30 years ago, there were 100 million fewer people living in the United States than there are now. 100 million. California alone had 10 million fewer people. It was a completely different place, a much better place. So the question is, how many people do you want to live here? We have about 350 million. We think there are massive environmental effects of overcrowding. Nature actually bears the burden of that at a certain point. The natural landscape does, and all of us who live here do. So at what point do we say it's not about whether these are deserving people? I think they mostly probably are, and all nice people. No one's debating that. But what about the people who already live here? Like, it seems like we have enough people in the country. Why is nobody saying that? I think I will start saying that because I think it's true.
I saw over the weekend that on Friday it was estimated that 1,000 migrant children crossed over in one day that were turned over to CBP and were processed. Jesse Waters, could you please listen to some sound from Senator Lankford of Oklahoma? Get your reaction on the other side.
This is one of the areas that the media is not allowed to be able to come into. That's why I wanted to be able to be here, to be able to see it and say, this is the thing that Biden does not want you to see, is that literally people walk across the border, they check in here, and they are all released. 100% of the people that are here tonight will be released. So this is absolutely an open border situation.
You know, if the media is not going to be allowed in, the senators have gone and they're releasing these videos, Jesse.
The politicians are becoming the press, and the press have become politicians. Can we take the Emmy from Cuomo and give it to Ted Cruz? I mean, he looked like Geraldo Rivera down there kicking down doors like that on the border. Maybe he's trying out for Fox News primetime or something, but he shouldn't be doing gonzo journalism down there at the border. Where are the network news crews and correspondents? Joe Biden just took the press's First Amendment away from him, freedom of the press, and they didn't even put up a fight. He said, you can't cover your own government at the border, and the press complied. Remember, they said how brave they were for 4 years while Donald Trump declared war on the media. There was no war. They had more access than they've ever had. And now Joe Biden says heel, and they kneel down like good, obedient puppy dogs. The COVID excuse, it's preposterous. I mean, let's ask Fauci. Can a cameraman from 50 feet away point his lens at kids in cages? Is that enough social distancing to cover a scandal? We want to follow the science. It looks like Joe Biden's triggered this crisis, and this corrupt media is now helping him cover it up because, in a way, he's complicit with a modern-day slave trade run by the cartels. The DHS, Biden's own DHS, is leaking to Axios that says Joe's planning on keeping 50,000 kids in cages per month for basically the rest of the year. So any teenager that comes across from all over the world through Mexico gets to stay. And if you grab a minor and come across, a majority of them get to stay. That's not a policy for immigration. That's just absorbing illegal immigration. So right now, the only people that are making out are the cartels. The American people are getting hurt.
So the officials themselves are the ones saying that this migrant surge, especially with children, could last for another 7 months. But do you get any sense that the administration is grasping the enormity of that? While 2 polls that came out today, ABC News and Reuters, both showed the president cratering on this issue while doing very well in other issues, on COVID response, even the economy. But on this issue, he is losing support.
He's losing some support still at 60% in some of these polls. It's unbelievable. His ratings, his approval rating stays pretty high. But, to Jesse's point, maybe, Senator Langford, Senator Cruz are trying out for prime time. Because what are they doing down there pretending to be photographers and journalists? Why don't they get back to Washington in their day job and buckle down in Congress, work to come up with a solution to this problem, instead of trying to play politics? And I guess they're out there trying to do damage to Biden. Let's be clear. Biden's been, in his press conference last week, totally clear and transparent. He's not letting the press in yet because that's not his priority. His priority is making sure that there are enough facilities and enough people to adjudicate the cases of these.
Exactly.
No, there's no way to do this.
Yeah, that's why they don't want to let the reporters in the first place. That's why our elected officials are having to go. And that's why they're making video. Please respect their dignity. You've got them stacked in there like a bunch of foil-wrapped burritos. No racial intent there. It's just they're stacked in there like a Jiffy popcorn factory has gone nuts. And you don't want us to see this? Why don't you want us to see this? Why do you want us to deny there's a crisis? Why didn't we just build a wall?
Well, yeah.
People who are applying for amnesty under American law, and he doesn't want to increase human suffering of these children, people 16 and under. You're seeing their thermal blankets. Obviously, those are cramped quarters. But what you're seeing is that they are, in fact, opening more facilities in large numbers to try to deal with this problem. Okay. And they're also now starting to work with countries in Latin America, Honduras, El Salvador, to try to stop the flow. And I might add, they're also dealing with border security. You had 100,000 people arrested at the border in the month of February. So that's the reality. Biden's dealing with a big surge. It could be even bigger than the surges that Trump saw. Your point to me, Dana, was about the incredible number that might come over the next few months. Those numbers, those statistics come out of administration reports.
Right. So that's why I asked it, Dagan, is that the enormity of the problem, those are the ones that they know will come across, or they estimate will come across. It's not all the ones. But how can the senators go forward and work on legislation when the administration is not willing to change policy on this issue?
Well, exactly. And to suggest that these Republican senators are part of the problem is absolutely ludicrous, Juan. It is laughable. The reason that this is happening is because the Biden administration rolled back the Trump policies that were working without thinking about the consequences, or maybe they did and just didn't care that they were putting young people and children in harm's way. Remain in Mexico for asylum seekers, gone. Safe third country agreements, gone. Catch and release, back. One sheriff of a Texas border town telling the New York Post that there's so many agents that have been transferred from patrol duty to processing stations that basically the border is wide open. We talk about transparency. We're talking about daylight, finally, because the press is not doing its job. The press sold this lie to the American people, and now they're embarrassed and burying their heads in the sand. And the only daylight is coming from the likes of Ted Cruz, and he's facing off with this woman who has the audacity to basically act like it's her border or Biden's border, not the United States border. And she's telling him to go away. She did have some of her little talking points, so she was up to date on the glossary clearly sent out by the White House. She said, I ask you to respect these people, give them dignity. What dignity? They're laying in cramped quarters because of the Biden administration. This is not a zoo, sir. So she's clearly up to date on the talking points from this White House. However, the problem is the talking points have gotten away from him because even a deplorable with a toothpick between his teeth and a Bible under his arm can see what the hell is going on at the U.S. border. It is disgusting, the position that these children have been put in. And the only time you're going to see Kamala Harris down there until it looks like a playground at a Montessori school and those kids are running around playing soccer.
Dagan, what did you have for lunch? Get some of that.
I've been out of work for 2.5 weeks. I have a lot to say. I'm sorry I ran my mouth. I will shut up the rest of the show.
What is happening here is not the same as what happened during the Trump administration, where they took babies out of the arms of their mothers and deported their families and permanently traumatized these children. These things are barbaric and they're wrong. Those families are owed reparations.
Yeah, man. It's like...
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Yeah, she's so full of shit.
Period. Tucker, your thoughts?
It's just interesting to come to a place where a low IQ race baiter like that has an important voice in national policy. Like, who cares what she thinks? She's totally reckless. And she's a racist, like, openly. I think the key to this, though, is to think clearly about what's best for the United States. Obviously, the border policy now is a disaster. To be fair, it's been a disaster for a long time. It doesn't serve the interests of most Americans. And it won't, because people like that use the magic word, which is racism, to cow the rest of the country into submission. She wants to change the population. She wants her party to be more powerful. I get it. But we're allowing her and people like her to do that because we're afraid of being called names. Until decent people like shed their fear of being smeared by someone whose opinion you really shouldn't care about, then we're never going to have a rational immigration policy that helps everybody. And one last thing, how does it help Ecuador or El Salvador or Guatemala or any of the countries from which these people are coming to have your most ambitious people leave? It's a disaster for them too and for us. It doesn't help any good person to have this kind of uncontrolled migration into our country. I don't care whatever that woman's name is thinks, and no one should care what she thinks.
Leslie, Senator Ted Cruz responded to the Congresswoman over Twitter, and we'll just read that for you right here. We'll get your response to it. Every word of this is false, he wrote. It is a Biden border crisis. It's a humanitarian crisis. It's a health crisis. It's a national security crisis. And Dems are desperately trying to cover it up. They are gaslighting you. Leslie, your thoughts?
Well, if it's a Biden border crisis now, why wasn't Senator Cruz calling it a Trump border crisis then? And he didn't. Democrats do this. Republicans do this. And by the way, Ted Cruz and AOC, there's no love lost between them. AOC could walk on water, and Ted Cruz would say, well, the tide was really low. Let's be honest. I would agree with one thing Tucker said. Yes, once in a blue moon, the moon will be blue tonight. And that is that this is a big problem. Immigration is a problem. We've had migrants coming to our border, drug cartels coming through our borders for 17 years. And whether you're a Democrat or Republican, this has been very difficult to get under control because you need a massive, comprehensive, multifaceted immigration.
She's been reading too many damn John Grisham novels, just saying.
Yeah.
Package and legislation that needs bipartisan support. And whether it's a Democrat or Republican in office, in the House, in the Senate with a majority, or in the White House, it gets kicked down the road. And it can't continue to get kicked down the road. But I do want to point something out with regard to race. 91% increase last year of illegal immigrants coming over the Canadian border. Did anybody know that? I didn't know that till I looked it up. Did anybody hear about that? We do have to question why. Who was coming in Canada, our northern border, versus who was coming in Mexico, our southern border. And one big difference is their skin color.
I can just tell you, Leslie, one thing quickly. There isn't one narrow area on this border crisis where Republicans and Democrats are converging rapidly. I interviewed two border state governors this week, two senators, a Democrat and a Republican. They all agree that increasingly the big kahuna story in all of this mess is that children are bearing the brunt of the crisis and the fallout. American kids and foreign kids, like we're seeing in that San Diego school district where teachers are returning to schools to teach migrant students in person, but refusing to return to the classroom to teach their own American students in person. That video you showed, Emily, of those toddlers getting dropped over the side of the wall, one of them's 3, one of them's 5. Kids are being human trafficked at exponentially high rates right now. Most of that is young girls. It's a major part of this crisis. I'm glad to see some people are at least agreeing on that. I wanted to just ask Tucker a question real quick, which is, Republicans seem to be saying, Tucker, the heart of the matter here is the Remain in Mexico policy. If Biden would just reinstate that, all these people from Mexico and the Northern Triangle countries would stop coming here. But in the interim, we have about 30,000 kids that would be stranded on the Mexico side of the border. They're foreigners, so maybe Americans care about them less, which a lot of Americans do. Fine, but what about them? Do they live happily ever after if they're not allowed to come into this country? Or do they get kidnapped by coyotes and sex traffickers and lead horribly dismal lives? I'm not defending the Biden policies here, but I'm asking about a solution going forward now that he's kind of turned on the spigot.
A country has to care about its own children first. That's why we have a country. Which is not to say you're not concerned about children in general or children in other countries. It's not an attack.
Yeah, and something you need to know about the redhead, she glows in the dark because she used to work for the CIA. Just saying.
Okay.
Exactly. She's the CIA one out of the bunch.
Okay. But the whole point of having a country is to take care of your citizens. Why have a nation state otherwise? And so that's always got to be the first priority. It's not our first priority. The second thing to note is that Mexico horribly mistreats Central American migrants. We were just in El Salvador last month. Ask anyone there. Everyone in Latin America despises the Mexican immigration authorities because they so brutally treat people coming through their country. That doesn't get the attention it deserves. But the bottom line is, our concern is American citizens, period. That is literally the job description of the U.S. government. And anything that takes priority over that is by definition a perversion. It's wrong. You can't allow it. We only have this crisis because we're putting up with it. This is true with your own children. It's true with other people's children. You get what you put up with. And if you signal that you're willing to put up with insanity like this, you will get insanity like this. And that's why we are getting it.
And can I just point out one other thing? None of this helps the American people, as Tucker pointed out. This doesn't even help the migrants and the people that are making the treacherous journey to come over here, the young women who get raped along the way and the abuse that they face on this dangerous journey. What it does do is it potentially leads to expanded power for the Democrats, but expanded part of the electorate. I mean, if you were to deny Republicans 38 electoral college votes in Texas, it becomes increasingly difficult to win a presidential election for Republicans. So to me, that is what this is about for Democrats. Why you see people like Joe Biden and the left support open borders policies. It's not to benefit the Americans with the influx of cheap labor, potentially taking the jobs of blue-collar Americans. And again, it doesn't help the people coming over here. What it does help is potentially Democrats and expanding the electorate.
All right, so this is foreign press. This is Japan. All right, and so what they did was they let them. This is one they put together for them. This is propaganda, and it looks horrible. Or maybe they thought this is the only way the Japanese can like process this shit if it, looked like Japanese people doing it. That was a joke.
Oh.
Pretty bad.
Well, they're a very nationalist society. they're, you know, an island nation and all that. So you would have to put it in a light that, like, this is unacceptable and this is why we don't have migrants coming in our country.
You've probably seen this horrifying video released by a Border Patrol chief showing smugglers dropping young children just 3 and 5 years old 14 feet over a border wall, then abandoning them in the New Mexico desert. El Paso Border Patrol Chief Gloria Chavez is the one who posted the video. She joins me now. Chief, thank you for taking time. Tell me, when you saw this video, what was your initial reaction and why have you released it?
Thank you, Griff, and thank you for covering this important story. You know, for us, these are some of the tactics that we see from smugglers all along the southwest border. When I first saw the images that were provided to me by my staff, I could not believe what I was watching. I was horrified. I was appalled to see that young...
Yeah, man, it's like the pipeline's back in business. So is the Clinton Global Initiative.
So these smugglers aren't even bothering to come over with these kids and getting, like... They used to have a connection on the American side,
right,
and transfer the kids over to the next smuggler. They're not doing that anymore.
Well, now they can track them. They can track them with phones, man. They've got what are those 3D looking you know, the stamp things.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking. SQL, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The QR.
Yes. And yeah, and they've got those marked on them, so that's how they're keeping track of them now with the phones.
Yeah, but so in the Rio Grande, which is dangerous for adults, they're just putting these kids on makeshift rafts, and there's not an adult on there with them. So there was a raft last week that had nothing but children on it. They pushed it to try to get it to the other side. A bunch of kids drowned. And this is okay by Democrat standards. It's okay. Bring all your children here.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take care of them. They're not even making it to the other side when they cross the river because they're drowning.
It's because they're a resource, y'all. I mean, are you not seeing that? That there's... Go ahead.
It just needs to stop. This is like heart sickening to me. This needs to stop.
Yeah.
This needs to not be allowed. And the fact that they're trying to pretend this isn't happening is sickening. This is very, very distressing.
And yeah, people out here like fucking AOC making excuses.
It's white supremacy if you call it a border crisis. You know what, bitch?
There's no crisis, but you know, we're gonna stand on all these dead bodies.
Yeah, exactly.
Signal to the fucking world. Yeah.
Totally not an emergency when you, yeah, and it's totally not an emergency when you send in FEMA, right?
Exactly.
Totally not.
No shit.
Texas deployed our National Guard to the border because they're just so overrun. They can't keep up with the bodies, dead or alive, that's coming to the border.
Man. All right,
it was so bad in 2016 and 2014, dude. I can't imagine what it's like right now. I just... Sorry.
Yeah, well, every 2 years because of the it's all about the elections.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that has something to do with it too.
Child just dropped like that from a 14-foot barrier to the ground in an area where it's so rocky, it's so mountainous, it's so remote. And the child for a few seconds didn't even move. So I was very worried until I started seeing her movement. Then I see a second child be dropped off that barrier. And then like a third item be thrown over that fence. And then to see them just abandon these children there and run up a hill and run away without even caring for the welfare of those children or how they were on the other side of that barrier.
And Chief, the cartels obviously behind this, you want to pursue these two smugglers, but in terms of sort of the bigger picture, is this indicative of just how ruthless these cartels are?
It is, and I don't think there's like a doubt in anyone's mind within DHS. I mean, I heard the comments of the secretary the other day. So from the secretary's level of the Department of Homeland Security all the way down to the frontline Border Patrol agent, we all know that these smugglers are very ruthless. They do huge exploitation of children and families on this border. They take advantage of a situation that's vulnerable when it comes to these human beings, and they exploit them for money. It is inhumane treatment of a human being. And you know, Griff, you've been along our border in El Paso sector. We stretch all the way from Fort Hancock, Texas, all the way to Lordsburg, New Mexico. There are areas where children are just walking up to the border, crossing where there's no barrier. So why take these two innocent little girls, 3 years and 5 years old, to an area in New Mexico where there is a 14-foot barrier and drop them from the top of it, when clearly there was another area where if they were going to push these little girls into the U.S. side, they could have easily walked through an open area where there was no need to harm them that way.
That's a great point, Chief. And in your, I believe, 264 miles, it is rough terrain. And certainly this video is very telling. It really captures the brutality of this crisis. Let me ask you, to parents, because there's the push factors in the Northern Triangle of poverty and violence in Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador, to parents that would consider allowing their children to make this dangerous journey, what do you say to them?
So most of my intent with this video was to get this out there through all of you so that the parents that are actually conducting this type of arrangement with criminal organizations or other people that are encouraging this, like you said, those pull factors, to understand that when they turn over their children to people like this, these people don't care about their well-being. They treat these children like a commodity. And from the moment they turn that child in from their small village or town, whether it's Ecuador, whether it's Guatemala or the Triangle countries, you know, they're already starting, the exploitation starts from that moment on throughout the entire journey. I wonder, every time when I visited with these two little girls, because I was so concerned about them, I went the next morning to the Central Processing Center where we're holding children currently today, and I wanted to see them. They were so resilient, so talkative, but I was standing there and then I kneeled down and just wondered as they were talking to me what kind of experiences or nightmares they went through from Ecuador all the way to our border that we don't even know about, because they were the ones that were being carried by these ruthless smugglers with inhumane treatment of the most vulnerable population in the world, children.
Chief, thank you for taking time. We just have a few seconds left because I did want to ask you one question about what we project. We have just an unprecedented number of unaccompanied children coming across the border now. One report had as many as 180,000+. Are you hearing anything on what we might see this year?
So flow in general for us, Grift, for the operators on the border, we have an overwhelming situation. And we are continuing to work and use our technology. Our Border Patrol agents are doing a phenomenal job. So kudos to all of them. They are trying to keep up with the flow. But if we continue in the same track that we are going today, we are probably going to surpass, at least for the El Paso sector, we're going to surpass the numbers from back in 2019.
Okay, so what if this wasn't planned with the idea that Biden was going to be in office and there was an assumption from another half of the operatives doing all this shit for the southern border? What if they thought Trump won, or they were planning for Trump to win and they had already sent the caravans like Trump had won?
I think it was they were, no, they had a way to play it either way.
Okay, because this is loads and loads of kids. I've never seen this many children come in, and this really does feel like it glows.
Indeed.
Feels like it fucking glows. Like, you have one showing up wearing Biden let us in shirts, and then you have other ones just like, yeah, we knew Biden was president and we was coming.
But Beto O'Rourke, you know, all right, so the 2 years ago, there was another mini surge. There were people in lines and shit, and they were taking them water and stuff. And Project Veritas busted their ass on that shit.
Using campaign funds.
Funds to fucking... Oh, man. You know, I mean, how fucking brazen can you be? You know, how...
JP, get the fuck out of here. You are testing my patience, son.
Right.
Calling them crisis actors and fake crisis. Fuck off. These are children that are being molested as they're coming over here. They are making older children cut off the fingers and ears of the younger children and sending it back to their families to get more money.
Yeah.
You need to go and fucking inform yourself, you piece of shit.
They did absolutely use crisis actors when Trump was president, and that's
oh yeah, they staged that.
That's
shit.
actually been proven. So unless JP, you got some evidence here,
he has no evidence.
Yeah, just saying. There's quite a bit more evidence when Trump was president that was going on. So.
Calling a bunch of children coming over by themselves a bunch of crisis actors. You are the most dishonest piece of shit. You are beyond trolling right now.
Yeah.
Dude. Somebody's offended. So.
Sorry.
Well,
yeah, no, it's good, man. I mean, well, it affects you directly at some point, right?
Oh yeah, my town, they just brought a busload of 1,000 kids to my little town. And we are overwhelmed. They're doing that to all the small Texas towns right now. They are bringing busloads, and they're not taking them anywhere. They're just dumping them in the street.
What?
Yes.
Dude.
And it's the older teen-aged kids that they figured can go and figure out how to get some help.
What?
So churches right now are overwhelmed with their charity homeless shelters. There's like a huge drive going on in my town right now to get these kids food and shelter.
Jesus, that's fucked up.
Yeah, and you know, they're immediately trying to get them into schools because the schools get government money for every body that's in the building.
Indeed.
And they'll just pass your kid.
Yeah, and it's funny how the teachers are going to go to work for these guys. All right, but they won't go to work for our children. Well, what the fuck's that about, y'all? All right.
Oh, they're not being compensated. It's a volunteer basis.
Dude, man, it's a coof. They're
They
afraid
are
of it.
being compensated with taxpayer money because they're doing it during school hours for American children. But meanwhile, they're at these convention centers teaching illegal children.
Indeed.
And if you
Let's
remember,
keep
we had a surge situation back then of people coming across the border, and it was about 182,000 people that we ended up apprehending that year, and we're on track to supersede that.
El Paso Border Patrol Chief Gloria Chavez, thank you for taking time, and please keep us posted.
Thank you, Griff.
Border Patrol released this night vision footage Wednesday. They say it shows a human smuggler drop 2 young children off a 14-foot high border fence into New Mexico. Border Patrol says the agent operating the camera saw it all go down. She alerted others to the location where they found a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. The agency says they're sisters from Ecuador. A local hospital checked them out and then released them into Border Patrol's custody. And Mexican authorities have found a 4-year-old Honduran boy presumably walking alone to the U.S. border. He was found near Mexican City across from McAllen, Texas. A group of 3 mothers and 6 children were found in the same area, but no one claimed.
Can you imagine what's been done to this kid? Dude.
No, I don't want to imagine it.
It's fucking it's sad.
Responsibility for him. He's now in Mexican custody. So what's causing the surge in unaccompanied children crossing the border? One progressive analyst says it's the result of former President Trump's policies.
The Trump administration
Of course it
wouldn't allow
is.
children to come to the United States to seek asylum.
So everybody
there's
had
been
like
a
a-
huge backlog
oh
in
my
terms of the
God.
numbers of those kids.
Another DNC
One conservative
dick
analyst
sucker.
says Trump's policies made
Interesting
the
the backlog just happened now after 4 years, all of a sudden now.
Ted Cruz is right. They're trying to gaslight this shit because, you know, when they're wearing like help me out Biden t-shirts, you know, where's my freebie Biden t-shirts?
The asylum system stronger. He says under Trump,
can't
they
speak
focused on
English.
people
It
in
makes
need
me
and
crazy.
took out fraudulent claims.
Our Biden administration was absolutely warned and very clear in certain terms what undoing all of the things the Trump administration had put in place would do, along with sending this kind of message south of the border that we're open for business.
But they both agree that something needs to be done about the overcrowded conditions.
The conditions are not acceptable now, and they need to be improved. The Biden administration should be pushed to do it as fast as possible.
Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton says Texans pay over $850 million each year on illegal immigration. He says Texans will always welcome those who follow the law, but they can't continue to force taxpayers to foot the bill for illegal immigration.
Yo soy consciente de que no lo podía dejar ir, pero tampoco lo podía amarrar para que no se fuera.
So these are Guatemalan children that were returned to their homes dead because one of the kids was crushed.
And you know, these are crisis actors.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here.
Digamos, todo joven tiene derecho a la vida, tiene derecho a cumplir y hacer sus metas, realizar lo que ellos piensan. O sea, uno como padre tiene que ver la opción más viable para que ellos tengan una vida mejor, para que no vivan igual que uno.
Porque como aquí ve que solo trabajamos el campo y solo se gana 50 quetzales al día, con eso no alcanza tanto. Sí, pero como mi papá también trabaja en el campo, ¿de dónde? Y casi aquí no diario hay trabajo, hay veces 3 días por semana, 2 días así.
Y ahí empieza a largar,
I don't understand why there's not this like desire to like become a better person and help the people where they're at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, it's like, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, gain, intellectual resources and come back and help and pull my people up, right? And instead of, well, I guess it is the easier, softer way to come to the United States where everything is fucking given to you, thrown at you and free,
Yeah.
So
well, they find resources that would allow them to do something else besides work for $6 a day in the fields.
Right.
Like mining resources, oil, things like that. And then organizations like Greenpeace and the Sierra Club come rampaging down off the coast and say, why you can't exploit those resources. that would pollute the planet. That would contribute to global warming. And so they're stuck in this perpetual thing. They cannot improve their own country, and they cannot improve their lives without leaving the country, and they desperately need to improve their lives. So they're caught in a trap, and the only thing that we can do is try to stop them at the border and say, hey, look, no, you can't make it here. Stop thinking about trying to come here. It's the only thing that we can do. Because we can't tell the Sierra Club and people like Greenpeace, people like that, to stop going down there and telling them that they cannot mine their own resources and try to make a better economy in their own country.
It's crazy. All right.
I would tell his teammates not to travel, his mother, Angela Lopez, explains in the local Mayan language. But in the end, everyone will take their own decision. I see the needs of every family here, and sometimes they choose to take the risk.
Outrage over a plan to teach migrant children in person before American students. Teachers in San Diego set to offer in-person learning to migrants, while many of their own students haven't seen the inside of a classroom in over a year. Parents, as you can imagine, are not happy, and the White House is not helping by appearing to dismiss their concerns.
These kids are going back to school for hybrid learning. We, of course, want that to be 5 days a week, and we're confident we'll get there early next month. And I believe they're also on spring break right now. So these teachers would be, I'm not sure if it's volunteer or paid. You'd have to ask the local school district while the kids are on spring break. But I think the context is pretty important.
For additional context, let me show you some new video that was just released from Donna, Texas. This video coming in that shows you just how dire the situation is, just how overcrowded it is. As we said, that hundreds of migrant children are crossing the border. They obviously need to be taken care of. We have some sound from an employee of the federal government down there and how he thinks it's going. Let's take a listen.
The capacity for this location for COVID purposes is 250. For previous to COVID, the total capacity was 1,000. But I'm holding, like I said, we're holding over 4,100 subjects in this location alone. So you do the math. We're way over capacity. We're like 700% over capacity.
700% over capacity, Jesse, for context.
Joe Biden was not prepared for this, and it's a shame what he's doing to those kids who are now involved in modern-day slave trade run by the cartels. I want to talk about the schools. This does not put America first. But what I worry about is next month when these migrant teenagers are...
You're muted, brother.
All right, you're muted.
Well, here we go. Sorry about that. That's right. Well, all right. So I'm not sure it's Biden that's making these decisions. I think it's Harris that's making the decision.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
hates human.
Well, and he put her in charge, so.
I say that these countries should have to take care of their own fucking people and stop sending them over here. And maybe if some of those people would stay in their own country, they could affect change in their own home instead of coming over here and fucking
Tyro, who built the cages, Joe? Who built the cages? That's funny as shit.
Obama and the Joe administration.
That's right.
Forced into classrooms with American students. These are from countries, these are impoverished nations, they don't have any formal education, they speak no English, they have been trafficked and have been traumatized, they've been separated from their families, and now they are going into a savvy metropolitan high school area with no social skills to adapt to that situation. You're going to sit them next to students in an already crowded classroom. Let's say the classroom holds 30, now 35 students are going to be in the classroom. 5 of those students aren't going to speak any English. They're not going to know what's going on in the classroom. You don't think that's going to be disruptive to the class? You don't think that's going to take the teacher's attention and focus it on those students? That's not going to disrupt learning. That's not going to soak resources that should be going to American students and have tutors and counselors focused on those students? Of course it is. And American parents were never given a choice. This was imposed on them by the cartels and by Joe Biden, who've lost control over our immigration policy. You ask any parent.
Free for all, while many Americans wait for their COVID vaccine patiently, White House is ready to give away shots to illegal migrants. Listen.
Well, certainly, the more people who are vaccinated, whether they're undocumented or not, the safer we are as a country. And that's certainly the president's point of view.
And it's not just the border, as homeless residents in Seattle are being put in FEMA-funded hotels and being given COVID shots as well while you wait. Our next guest just returned from Seattle on Monday, where he saw the city's problems firsthand. Here's his reaction, Fox News analyst Lawrence Jones. Lawrence, good morning to you.
Hey, happy Good Friday, Steve.
Thank you, you as well. So, Lawrence, it makes perfect sense. If the White House is going to let migrants come on in because there's an open door, why not give them a shot before Americans? Yeah, it's kind of disgusting when you look at it. Look, we want to be charitable. We want to be a giving nation. We want to help those that are less fortunate. But when you have people in your own country that have not gotten the shot, when there's such a surge, when there's so many lines to get the shot, I think it's a slap in the face of those American citizens that have been patiently waiting for the vaccine. I think we got to get to the root causes of this. Yesterday when I was co-hosting the 5, I think I said that we have to have 2 weeks to slow the surge. There's a problem at the border, a problem of Biden's own making because he had incentives there. And that's only going to cause us to have to continue to pass out this free stuff because, as you know, even if you let these people in, they can't work unless they steal somebody's social security number. Well, and earlier I was telling folks that New York State lawmakers are going to, in a $2 billion fund, give unemployment insurance to illegal aliens. So, you just come on into the country and New York State will pay you up to $28,000, which it's like, okay. And they wonder why their debt is out of control right here in New York and why the taxes continue to raise. And Steve, I think the thing that Americans feel is you're doing this in the middle of a pandemic. Right. I mean, businesses are shutting down in New York and now you're handing out goodies to illegal. I mean, it's just absurd to me. Right, but also, Lawrence, that's another reason why if you're in a place and you're looking to, look, I live in this terrible country, there's grinding poverty, I'm going to go to the United States, I will get a shot and I'm going to get $28,000 from New York State plus whatever else I can get. It would not surprise me, Lawrence, if there's been given the fact that we now know that the detention centers are super spreader events, it wouldn't surprise me if there was a plan in the White House or the administration to, once they let the migrants in, before they say, okay, go wherever you want to go, call your aunt or whoever's phone number you've got, is we're going to give you the J&J shot before you go, just so you don't have to worry about it. But once again, aside from, and this is speculation, but they would once again jump the line ahead of so many Americans who have been waiting patiently.
And if there was experimentation, I would be for that.
Legally here in the country. Well, I think the Biden administration is going to have to get their messaging right. Moderate Joe is going to have to pick what side is he on. Look, again, the one, as charitable as Americans are, when you start putting other people before them, then they get a little upset about that, and rightfully so. Again, like I said at the beginning of the segment, there are Americans still waiting for the shot. Apparently there's a line, and there's different groups that can go. When you start putting other groups before, then it becomes a problem. It's the same problem in San Francisco with education. People are not opposed to the migrants getting in-person education because they didn't do anything wrong. It was the parents that sent them on this treacherous journey. But the fact that their kids can't get in-person learning is why people are furious. And of course, we want as many people in the country to get the shot as possible. It's just a question of priorities. Lawrence, thank you very much for joining us live. Thanks, brother.
Sad day in America when the America that we grew up in is unrecognizable to my generation, to generations before me, and generations after me. Okay, the generation today, they don't know any better because they've been indoctrinated. Okay, the little children that are walking around with masks, they don't know any better. This is what they're being taught. They're learning to be afraid of everything, to be afraid of life, to be afraid of people, to be afraid to speak. That's not fucking normal. Okay, it's not normal. Okay, the CCP's got such a fucking grip on the Biden administration and these fucking demon rats. It's fucking scary. It's beyond sickening. Okay, we need to fix our voting system and get these motherfuckers out of office. Okay, the mask is shut up and obey. Cancel culture is no more than fucking fascism. That's all it is. Everybody wake up and they want to control us and track us with these fucking COVID passports. Let's vote them out. Fix our voting systems, motherfucker.
Ohio State Representatives Al Catrona and Mike Loychuk. Good morning to you both.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning.
So, Mr. Catrona, it seems like vaccine passports are going to become a bit of a reality, but you don't want them in Ohio. Tell us why.
Absolutely. As a CEO of a large infectious disease medical practice, I understand the importance of medical privacy. And as a legislator, I also seen how governments have gone too far here in the country. And I've experienced that right here in Ohio. And it's just too much government overreach. And we're dealing with big tech companies. And when you have big tech, big government, you got big problems.
Yeah, Representative Loychuk, I think some people would hear that and say, well, it doesn't matter if the government knows that I've been vaccinated. Who cares? What do you say to that?
What I say to that is I think that a vaccine needs to be kept between you and your physician. Vaccine passports don't belong in the United States. They don't belong in Ohio. We're a free society. And I think that the vaccine should be between you and your citizen, period. Or I'm sorry, between you and your physician.
Yeah. Mr. Catrona, even though some vaccines are already required in schools and to travel?
Well, you know what? The main issue right now that we're facing is the big tech end of it. We're having government, we're having big tech, and what they're doing is willing to sell off your information. What's scary to me is that they're not even hiding it. Big tech is saying, hey, listen, we're going to take your information and we're going to sell it off. That's a problem. That's the difference between what's going on previously and what's happening now.
Mr. Loychuk, would it make a difference if it was a private business, like a school or a restaurant that wants a vaccine passport in Ohio? Are you trying to keep that out of private businesses, and you say, or is it just the government that you don't want vaccine passports for?
I'm really pushing for both, but as a small business owner, I can see where if a small business or private enterprise were to try to get a hold of this and introduce it into their business as, hey, we're requiring you to have a vaccine passport, I really think that it would diminish that business because there's been more support than I could believe for anything on any issue that I've ever pushed or Representative Catrona's ever pushed. If you were to introduce this into your business throughout the United States, I think that would diminish your business to the ground.
That's a good point. Representative Catrona, it's interesting because New York just introduced that they're developing a COVID-19 vaccine passport. So if some folks from Ohio travel to New York, it looks like they might have to have one as well.
You know, and this goes to show.
All right, this is the next section. All right, so we've gone kind of sliding into this COOF passport concept thing.
I got a question. They say if you have a food allergy, you can't take the jab.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a medically diagnosed food allergy. I can't take the jab. So does that mean I never get to go to another movie theater or concert for the rest of my life?
Well,
See, that's what I'm wondering.
Hey, and then there's
sit outside and listen.
The well buildings. Are you going to be able to go into those?
Probably not, because you're not well.
Well, you see what I'm saying, man?
Yeah.
They're definitely. This is definitely. They think you're stupid, people.
I'm allergic to Pepto-Bismol.
Chat, I don't think you're stupid at all. I think our chat has even the errant JP, who I have yeeted for a week.
Okay.
And I might think about unyeeting him in a week. All right. But anyway, I digress. So we're talking about all right. Your medical records being available to anyone.
No.
Right. And this is, in my opinion, it's totally against HIPAA,
it is,
and search and seizure. This is private property. It's your property. It's you.
Well, by law, businesses cannot ask you for your vaccine records. That's already been determined. It's fucking written in HIPAA. It's literally there. HIPAA's massive. It's like 16,000 pages, but
yeah,
it's there. This is already.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't understand what's going on.
Let's
how this is working.
Let's get balls deep into
Show
this
you
shit.
that our freedoms and our liberties are at jeopardy right now. And what they're looking to do in New York is an absolute tragedy. And I'm looking to do everything I can, at least here in the state of Ohio. And I'm urging every legislator across the country to stand up. We need to stand up against big tech. We got to stand up against big government. And we need to work together. And I'm going to do that all day long and twice on Sunday here in Ohio. And I'm urging everybody to do that across the country.
All right. Thank you, Representatives Al Catrona and Mike Loychuk, for joining us, talking about the hot button issue of the day, vaccine passports. Appreciate it.
Great. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me on.
Pandemic doom and gloom from the president, Joe Biden, patting himself on the back over the number of Americans being vaccinated, while also shaming red states. Biden blaming them for a rise in COVID cases by lifting restrictions.
I'm reiterating my call for every governor, mayor, and local leader to maintain and reinstate the mask mandate. Please, this is not politics. Reinstate the mandate if you let it down. Mask up. Mask up. It's a patriotic duty.
It's almost like when he says this is not politics, he's saying this is politics. It's obviously politics. Who are you fucking fooling, dude? I swear to God.
Fooling, motherfucker.
Right.
It is not my patriotic duty to just willingly take a fucking knee and give up my freedoms to wear a fucking mask, and maybe by the 4th of July we can have small celebrations.
Well, and it's errant. All right. Yeah, it's not honest because it's showing states like Texas. I think they get into the numbers, but actually their numbers are a lot better now. That they completely opened up. Y'all completely opened up like this week, didn't you?
March 10th.
Okay, wow. So you've been and nobody. You're not dead.
I'm not dead,
God.
and our
Holy
numbers
shit.
are like 74% down. I think.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's almost like we followed the science.
Ooh. Well,
don't use the S word.
Hey, when they said 2 weeks, they meant 2 years, everybody. Remember, it wasn't 2 weeks, it was 2 years.
2 decades to flatten the curve.
Well, now that there's more and more science coming out, the people that are really addicted to their narrative are getting really pushy about people that aren't playing.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't play, you're a science denier. But if you break out actual scientific research papers and journal articles, then you show them where the science doesn't support what they're saying.
They scream at you.
Oh, yeah.
They just scream at you or tell you to face the other way and go away. Like, they aren't even willing or capable. Hell, I got in an argument with a guy today who actually has probably more degrees than I do, but they're useless. He said he has one in biological sciences, whatever the fuck that means. I'm like, oh, you're a 13th or a 13-year-old, or I'm sorry, an 8th grade teacher.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
science
it
teacher?
doesn't matter whether he had a PhD in biological sciences. From your description, he was wearing a paper mask that was absolutely filthy, like he'd been wearing it for 3 months.
It was brown.
Yeah, so He may be a biologist. He may be a molecular biologist, but he doesn't understand basic virology.
Yeah. Which all you need is a microbiology course to understand.
My 12-year-old understands the purpose behind the mask, and he knows what it does, and he knows what it doesn't do, and it's not because I explained it to him.
Right. All right, let's keep rolling.
Only way we ever get back to normal.
Mr. President, do you believe that some states should pause their reopening efforts?
Yes. And the president's CDC director is taking it even further.
I'm going to reflect on the recurring feeling I have of impending doom. We have so much to look forward to, so much promise and potential of where we are, and so much reason for hope. But right now, I'm scared.
Biden Democrats have been trashing states like Texas for lifting restrictions and even called the governors Neanderthals. But here's what they won't tell you. Cases in wide open Texas are dropping, while COVID is surging in still locked down blue states, Michigan, New York, and New Jersey. And I don't know what the CDC director for Biden is saying, Dana. We have hospitalization charts right here we're going to show on the screen, and they're way down and continue to go down consistently. I just don't understand the numbers that she's looking at. There they go, way down and still dropping. Do you understand the communications here?
Well, I don't doubt that she has information that says that we are at risk of possibly having a fourth surge. We know that our country has been about 3 to 4 weeks behind Europe, and that about a month ago, Europe started seeing a spike in cases again. Now, they are nowhere near where we are in terms of vaccinations. We've done a much better job on vaccinations, starting even way back in late December when they first got out there. Europe's been a disaster on that, and that's well documented. However, the other thing I think that's curious about the way she's communicating is I don't understand why she can't go to a place where there's an actual studio rather than on this Zoom. And this might be like a picky thing that I'm saying, but if you are that worried and you think we are facing impending doom, to me, that deserves a little bit more of a full briefing, where you could take some questions from the press that is gathered. You could use some charts. You know, we love charts, Jesse. Maybe she has different charts. I don't know. Yeah. But I also like in those states where they have relaxed mask mandates, which is actually, it's not just Florida and Texas, it's many states across the country. In most of those states, the case numbers, not just hospitalizations, but the case numbers are also going down. So I take her at her word that she's worried. She must know something. But I wish that they could communicate it in a better way so that we could better understand the risk that we are facing.
One, we talked about for almost a year, President Trump talking about the red states and the blue states, and you always said, I don't like to divide the country like that. Well, Joe Biden's sitting there and he's doing exactly that, except this time the science does not back him up at all.
Stone Monkey donated $10 and said, I pooped my pants for Biden. All right?
As we've demonstrated with these charts and graphs. So what do you think his agenda is?
Jesse, there's no politics here, and you did not demonstrate that with that chart. The fact is, I don't think this is something that's to be contested. Again, this is not political. This is just a hard fact. The COVID infection rate, the number of cases has risen in the last 7 days in the United States of America by about 12 to 13%. Hospitalizations and deaths are likely to follow. That's been the pattern established in this virus.
Thanks for shouting at Klaus for the $5. I'm in Texas here, and things have drastically changed really quick. That's interesting. And lubricant, Loubricant, Loubricant, yes, the one and only Lubricant, said Ridgedale Brand News, the news unfit for print. And that's probably from my interview with Arthur Nick, so I don't know why. But yeah, sometimes stuff just pops up. All right, we're rolling. Sorry, y'all.
In this pandemic. So what we're seeing is like 25 states plus Puerto Rico have led the way. And it's not a matter of saying, oh yeah, if it's in a red state, then they're safe from a blue state. We travel, we mix, we go back and forth. In fact, there's more of that now. What's going on here is a race between vaccinations. We have about, I think it's 16% of Americans who have been fully vaccinated at this juncture. And the race is against states with politicians who are playing to the crowd because everybody knows it's springtime. We're tired of this thing. We want it over. So the politicians say, oh yeah, I'm going to say, do away with the mask mandate, do away with social distancing. Yeah, go ahead, have spring break, crowd into a bar. This is stupidity. This is like saying, you know what, my political popularity is more important than your life. Yeah. How crazy is that? We're doing really well on vaccinations. We're like 2 to 3 million a day. But that doesn't count if we are engaged in self-defeating behavior. And what you're seeing is it's not Biden who's picking red states and blue states. It's politicians who are picking their states and saying, oh, I don't want any mask mandate because it's not popular.
Okay, well, as we showed, if we can put the graphic back up on the screen, if we could show Texas there, since dropping the mask mandate, the cases have gone down substantially, and the blue states, which still have the mask mandates and all the other lockdowns, those are up. So we did prove that, and if you could put the hospitalization trend chart nationally up on the screen, I think we also proved that with facts and science. And if we can, we put the national COVID cases up, please, from the New York Times. Let's see national COVID cases here. Again, another trend going way down. So, Brian Kilmeade, we pretty much demonstrated through the statistics that the cases have gone down.
That's not right, Jesse. Yes. They're plateauing, and they're plateauing far below where they were in January. But now that they've plateaued, we started to see them creep up. So let's just be honest with the audience.
Okay, I saw the same chart, okay? And this is, you're looking at 7 days, and if it maybe went up a little bit, you call it a plateau. I call it a steep drop from the surge over the winter. Ryan Kilmeade, interpret these statistics for me.
Okay, if you just get out, everyone get out a whiteboard. I handed them out before the show. Oh, I didn't, so I'm going to have to skip right to the end. So this is what I'm going to say is, we all love Dr. Siegel, and he does not believe that the CDC director was accurately reflecting what's happening in this country right now. Dr. McCarty was just on with me on radio. He said the same thing. Dr. Scott Gottlieb on Sunday said the same thing. He says, I don't look for a fourth wave, mainly because we're doing so well with the vaccinations. Also, the people that are getting this now, Juan, you're very right to point out that in the past, hospitalizations and deaths have followed cases. But the people getting sick right now, or the people testing positive, not getting sick, are younger people. Therefore, the stats show, and you won't deny this, that people, that overweight people or the elderly are the ones most likely to suffer hospitalizations or eventually death. So the people getting it now are the younger ones. So hospitalizations and deaths will not follow this, more than likely, if the past is prologue. Number 3 is, and this gets me, Mr. President, don't tell me you're concerned about masks and double masks and having small cookouts on the 4th of July, if we're good. At the same time, you let tens of thousands of people stream into the border every single day. You don't even rush to get tests down there. You're not testing in these facilities. You can't have it both ways. Don't tell me the Europeans got to be tested first. But on the southern border, all hell breaks loose. We can't even get a vice president or president to go down and see for themselves. So
ding, 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 ding. We have the winner.
Bomb just got dropped.
Yeah, man. Yeah, black pills for all. The reality is obvious, man. And Kilmeade's cool, man. He writes like history. He likes to write about historical events and stuff. Wrote about the spies up in New York, before the war. I mean, during the Revolutionary War. Good stuff. But yeah, base response.
Major
there.
Andre and all them.
Exactly.
So that's a real issue. The other thing is, Texas, North Dakota, Mississippi, Montana, Iowa, all have relaxed mask mandates. But if you go to Florida or any of these places, they have little things on the door and they tell you to wear a mask. You don't go to Publix, you don't go to supermarkets without doing that, Dick's Sporting Goods or anything like that. So it's not like people are walking around without shirts on, partying in spring break everywhere.
And again, the governors aren't doing this to posture for politics. They're doing it to save the economy and save the school children who need that more than ever right about now. You can balance science with reopening the economy, and a lot of the red state governors have done that. And people are upset about that, but you know what? That ended up working.
Can the left stop acting like this was a ban on mask wearing in Texas and Mississippi? That we're in this weird world now where people are upset at having more personal freedom. Okay, just making sure about that. Being somebody who got COVID after trying to, I have no friends. My relatives don't talk to me, so I don't associate with anybody.
This is terrible.
But I told you one thing I talked to a doctor earlier today. Antibody therapies. Like, we have not told people if you get COVID,
totally relate.
Because when you get tested, they basically tell you to go home and just sit there. So we do the antibody therapies from Regeneron and Eli Lilly have been vastly underused. I hustled because I've got scientists in my family and got an antibody infusion about a day after I got COVID, and it was hugely beneficial. Why aren't these people? Why is Joe Biden talking more about that? So, but I'll tell you why. When you hear a liberal politician who has been in the game for half a century on the grift telling you this is not about politics, you damn well know it's about politics, because fear equals control and control equals power. Power is the very reason these reprobates got into this racket in the first place, and they're not going to let one sliver or soup sign of everything they've accumulated in the last year just wildly slip away. Oh, and to Brian's point, Joe Biden, since he didn't talk about COVID in the press conference last week, now he's talking about this to take attention away from the escalating crisis at the border. And literally one of the most despicable Democrats to ever represent the party, Andy Cuomo, who has done the worst job of any governor on top of killing 15,000 elderly people that he lied about, that he covered up. Well,
oh, Shouting at Clouds donates $5 and says, "Hi, Becca."
Hi.
Uh-oh.
He was busy, I don't know, also sexually harassing a lot of women.
Yeah, and the politics benefit Joe Biden. If he could just ride that wave of safe reopenings and vaccinations, he'll get a ton of credit.
Clear to them that the vaccine is the ticket back to pre-pandemic life. And the window to do that is really narrowing. I mean, you were mentioning, Chris, about how all these states are reopening. They're reopening at 100%. And we have a very narrow window to tie reopening policy to vaccination status. Because otherwise, if everything is reopened, then what's the carrot going to be? How are we going to incentivize people to actually get the vaccine?
She literally just said we recognize that we're going to lose some power if we don't force this before everybody gets their vaccine.
Exactly. You know, I mean, she's just out saying it, man. And people are letting it slide. I don't understand, you know, Joe Sixpack. I think Joe Sixpack thinks to himself a lot right now. Because, you know, there's an atmosphere of you be careful what you say and who you say it to and how you say it, or else you know.
You know how like crazy, like I imagine like talking to people how I really feel about this. Like, you know, it's about control. It's about, you know, it's political. You know, they're trying to keep us in fear. You know, it's power over us. And, you know, she's like literally just saying exactly that. And it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like if I said anything, like I would be labeled like crazy.
Yeah, no shit.
Conspiracy theorist.
Exactly.
Like
Go ahead.
Well, no, that's about it.
No,
just
man.
She's just straight up saying it. Like, who's not paying attention?
Yeah, that's my point, man. It's like,
sorry, and then
go ahead.
You know, we forgot about the protest too. You know, the peaceful protests.
That's
now
right.
it's the borders.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's the COOF double standard, the current COOF double standard.
You know what they're not mentioning is that the protests, air quote protests, have restarted on the West Coast.
Yeah. Oh, they're getting ready for fucking George Floyd, the Chauvin trial and shit. I've deliberately kind of stayed away from that this week, to be honest, y'all. Because it's set up to fail. Obviously, the guy's going to be acquitted, or he's going to get a lower charge.
Oh yeah, it's gonna get a little hokey for a little while.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've not gone into the city since I don't know how long.
Stupid. We're
not
fucking stupid.
You know, so yeah, we know what's coming.
Excuse me, I happen to be exceptionally stupid.
Wonka wonka.
Hey man. Anyway,
if you're vaccinated, you can do all these things. Here are all these freedoms that you have. Because otherwise, people are going to go out and enjoy these freedoms anyway.
It's got to be in place.
So what are vaccine
Better not
verifications
enjoy your
exactly?
freedoms.
And can they speed up a return to normal?
Look at this.
For herd immunity, between 58% and 94% of the population need to be immune.
94?
That means anywhere from 192 to 311 million Americans. As of mid-January 2021, nearly 10 million Americans have received at least their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine.
While the vast majority of Americans believe that the vaccine is important to facilitate a return to normal life, nearly half plan to defer vaccination for 3 months or up to a year.
I got some problems with these numbers.
So this, I think, combined with the inherent challenge of manufacturing and distributing vaccines really threatens to slow progress towards herd immunity and ultimately to economic recovery.
That's where immunization verification passports or certificates could come in.
Day,
Remember the yellow card immunization forms?
There's
in
no
the
way.
age of a global pandemic, that could be a smartphone application or a QR code on paper.
No fucking way.
QR code. I think it allows us to study the technology as well as the validation, as well as the confidence in privacy that will then allow us to think about how do we use this.
Did you catch that was that subliminal image of a pregnant woman? Did you catch that?
No, all I saw was the play bar.
Yeah, she was a pregnant woman.
This for other things. I don't think it's going to make, and I don't believe it's going to make social distancing and masking go away until we hit herd immunity. But I think it's this process of maybe we can reopen up things a little bit faster.
For nearly 5 years, Dakota Gruner has been advocating for digital IDs as a basic human need, especially in developing countries. She's currently on a WHO-sponsored working group for smart vaccination certificates. Over the course of 6 months, the group is hoping to establish global standards for these types of solutions.
This is a very complex multi-stakeholder effort. Obviously, they're trying to do this at an international level. But the idea is to do something, I think, quite similar to what we've done with ID 2020 certification, which is
I think
what are
she's
the
wearing a wig.
specifications of a good digital ID solution, or in this case, a smart vaccination certificate, and how do we get to the point where there's almost a list of WHO recognized solutions. But we don't pretend that in the interim some of these solutions aren't moving forward independently.
Dozens of startups, as well as major companies like Microsoft, Ticketmaster, Apple, and Google, have shown interest or are currently working on creating their version of an immunization certificate.
Of course, Microsoft.
I think where we're at least on the technical side,
is Bill Gates' damn vaccination.
That's
Of course, fucking Microsoft's going to be involved with this shit.
Oh yeah, dude.
Holy fuck!
And those numbers don't add up by any means. There's no fucking way.
Yeah, I know, man.
We've been doing that since the vaccine came out, basically. After a couple weeks, I mean, there's just if as many shots are going out as they say that are going out, the whole entire country would be vaccinated.
That Andy's right. The WHO are whores for China. That's right, and China give happy ending, obviously. So
somebody explain to me how
a bit of a wild west.
facial recognition
It's pretty clear
software
that
is
vaccination
necessary
certificates
for
are moving
vaccination.
forward, and given that,
I don't know
how do we do it right? And
Because
how do we
it's
ensure
not
that
going to detect whether or not you've had the shot. The only way that works is if they are building an app that has access to a database with everybody's freaking facial recognition print.
Ding, 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 ding,
Which
ding.
you're asking,
It's Minority Report.
WHO is asking the big tech companies to install Big Brother on everybody's smartphone.
Well, so it started out as a Dragonfly project at Google in China, right? And they were only going to do it there. And they really weren't working on facial recognition software. It was more AI stuff, right? So it turns out, no, it wasn't AI that for facial recognition. And so they're going to try to roll that shit out on us. And it's going to be connected, if you got a Huawei phone, if you got 5G, it goes straight to Beijing, buddy. You're in their database. Yeah. Why do we need to be in Beijing's database, people? Why do American citizens need to be in Beijing's database? Our faces. Why?
I have no idea, and it doesn't make any damn sense to me.
It doesn't make a lick of sense. All right, and we'll keep rolling.
Is made in the greatest possible way. This is not the time to move fast and break things.
Onfido is one of the startups who jumped on the idea as an identity verification company with $200 million in funding. A vaccination app was a no-brainer.
So the first thing where we fit in is making sure that it is Kevin Trilly or Tala that is the person signing up for this service. And then there's a second step that says use the core service, book your travel in the case of SideHide or whatever. Then the third is being able to add a new piece that says embed your health status as part of that application so it can be shared with the person that you're booking travel with. And then in the case of the other one with employment, you'd sign up for the service, you'd declare your employment status, and then you'd have some health testing status that you would update.
But first to the latest grift featuring all the usual suspects, the same celebrities you see spruiking the Democrats and giving awards to the likes of Al Gore and New York's disaster-prone Governor Andrew Cuomo. They are now appearing in this bewildering commercial.
If you want to get back to your favorite places and feel confident they have put your health and safety first,
look for the Well Health Safety Seal.
Look for the Well Health Safety Seal.
Look for the Well Health Safety Seal.
You'll see it at schools, offices, banks, childcare centers, all the places we go.
The Well Health Safety Seal means that we'll feel better going into restaurants,
theaters, stores, hotels,
stadiums, and all the places that we love.
Everything may look the same, but the Well Health Safety Seal means that your health and safety are top of mind when it comes to
cleaning and sanitizing procedures,
air and water quality management,
emergency preparedness programs,
and health services.
So look for the Well Health Safety Seal outside
and feel more confident going inside.
Oh, you can suck a dick.
Kind of looks like a bit of a hostage video there. I'm not sure if they're all there on their free will, but the ad is
I like this chick's take on this.
deliberately vague. It doesn't give much detail or useful information, but it's doubtful that these expensive stars are fronting the ad out of the goodness of their hearts. The International Well Building Institute is the brainchild of a former Goldman Sachs partner. Its parent company is worth around $800 million.
Ding, 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 ding. Goldman Sachs, who was bailed out in the first bailout in 2008.
They were the largest benefactor of TARP.
Yep, exactly. So,
and you guessed it, if you want a well health safety rating, it'll cost you. It'll cost you upwards of $12,000. Lady Gaga, Robert De Niro, and Serena Williams don't come cheap.
What?
I am not
It's
a yearly
story, Rita. It's a privatized health system, and celebrities making money out of it.
Hey man, it's just $1,000 a month.
No.
You want to operate your business, don't you?
A cent a month from me for a sticker in my window.
No.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
They are making this country so freaking weak. It's sad.
They're just putting guns to everybody's head, man. You're not going to be able to move. You can't go to you can't go to a movie theater because you didn't get the coup shot.
Right.
Right. I mean, this is all tying together.
Dude, our movie theater over here, Irate, opened back up, and a bunch of people got bed bugs from it.
Oh wow.
That's not funny.
That's
bizarre to have it. It's almost like a new extortion racket where you have to have a sticker on your building, and if you don't pay for the assessment, then you've got no chance to get the sticker.
Well, I mean, this is what we're seeing at 43 states across the country. We have got Republican legislation that's moving to make it.
Good old Gretchen Whitmer or Gretchen Whitmer.
So creepy.
Gretchen.
Hitler? What Whitler? What the fuck me running? What? Is that a Fauci pillow?
Yes. Becca turned me on to this. It was funny as shit. I had to use it.
Okay, I need an adult now.
Keep on loving you. It's literally the same song. I wanna keep on loving you.
Yeah, Jennifer Garner's got a girly crush on Fauci. She streamed with him once before. And she told him that she had a crush on him.
Oh my God!
Well, she should get herself a Fauci pillow and
Got
hump it
granddaddy
every night.
issues, huh? Jesus.
Dude, he's like 5'2".
That chick from the horrible shit.
Hey,
Blind
no
guy.
kink shaming.
Superhero movie with Ben Affleck.
Daredevil.
Yeah. The one that played Elektra.
That's what they made. Yeah, that's
she
where
did
they
the thing
met.
with-
Yeah. That's
she
a
did the
good
thing with
movie, man. That's not a bad movie at all.
Yeah, she had a thing with Fauci though a while back, like about a year ago, when everything was all hitting it. You know, the shit was hitting the
Are
fan.
you saying she did it with Fauci?
She wanted to. Dude, she told him on the stream thing. She was like, "I have such a crush on you."
Oh.
She's like,
Loaded.
I'm fangirling, and she was like,
Fanning
fanning her
the REO
face.
Speedwagon.
I feel sick.
Yeah.
Man.
Who wants to bang that?
So what do we want to watch now? Okay, I've got another thing of it's like a B-roll of the news stuff, right? Which is about 20 minutes long. Or we could just watch the moving zoo and watch I don't know, Death and Destruction from a POV standpoint.
Can we get some palate cleanser? I'd rather have the Death and Destruction.
All right,
Thank
let's
you.
go for
Yeah,
it.
that sounds fun.
Yeah, all right. Oh, death and grief and on and murder. Oh, Spieler, was ist los? Spiel, what is? Oh shit! Oh shit! This is I have fucked up. This is not.
This is not what you thought it was?
I screwed up when I rendered it. Fuck, we got to go with the other one, y'all. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
Damn. I laid down, man. Damn it. You son of a bitch. All right. What is wrong with you? All right. All right, let's play this in word.
We are witnessing what is an unprecedented effort around the country from the radical Socialist Democratic Party to fundamentally, radically transform this country. In his frail, cognitively struggling state, Joe Biden, the leader, might not realize it, but his administration is now waging what is an all-out assault on the principles that have made this country great. As we speak, the Democratic Party is now plotting a new court packing scheme to seize control over the judicial branch of government, a co-equal branch. They're eyeing statehood for D.C.
FDR
and Puerto
tried that,
Rico
it
to
didn't
guarantee
work.
what? 4 new Democratic senators in perpetuity. They are federalizing elections and prevent all forms of voter authentication. That means no voter ID whatsoever. That's through HR SR 1, thus increasing the opportunity for what? Fraud, abuse, no integrity, no confidence in future elections. That will be the result. They want to get rid of the legislative filibuster. Why? So they can ram through this radical agenda, their bills through Congress without any Republican support, and their policies will shred our Constitution, starting with the woke, canceled culture, destroying, let's see, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and pretty much the entire document. Now, of course, none of this is about freedom, liberty, security, or innovation, or making your life better. But for the left, this is about one thing and one thing only. Don't let anybody convince you otherwise. This is about power. Power over our elections. Power that favors them. Power over our courts that favors them. Power over state legislatures, even if it's unconstitutional. Power over state and local law. Power over your life. Power in perpetuity forever and ever. And here's the end game. The Democratic Socialist Party ultimately wants all of America pretty much to resemble California and New York. High taxes, high crime, horrible schools, burdensome regulation, massive government corruption, and this is the dream. That's what they tell us. If you like New York and you like California, buckle up, because that's what the United Sanctuary Socialist States of America will look like. In New York City, if you are a peaceful, law-abiding, tax-paying citizen, you better not jaywalk or go 15 miles over the speed limit or forget to wear your mask or exercise, God forbid, your Second Amendment rights. You will go to jail with probably little hope of ever getting out. But if you're a violent criminal, unfit for society, New York State welcomes you with open arms. You want to loot, you want to attack cops, you want to light a building on fire. Let's see. Throw rocks and bottles and bricks, Molotov cocktails for police. Well, you get the get out of jail free card, literally, with their new no bail laws in New York. In fact, many of these crimes are never even prosecuted. Last year, a guy robbed 4 banks, got arrested, got released, right back onto the streets, then immediately goes to rob another bank. Gets caught, gets released, then robs another one. Last night, we showed you this horrific video, a man brutally assaulting a 65-year-old woman She was walking to church in Midtown Manhattan. As you can see, it's daylight. And by the way, pushing her to the pavement. Watch the face being stomped on again and again. The alleged perpetrator was out on parole after spending only 17 years behind bars.
Hey, always lost on nothing else. Donates $5. Donation $2.98. Go ahead and wrench me. I will link you my favorite Crimson Tide scene. Killer, dude. You got it. All right.
Sweet.
Wrench that.
One of us. One of us.
One of us. Exactly. Thank you. Nice. Right on cue, Tim.
For murdering his own mother with a knife. Why was he ever released? Meanwhile, in Ithaca, New York, you have a convicted cop killer. That's right, cop killer, convicted, recently paroled from prison, now sitting on the city's police reform board. Well, that's just genius. All across the country, and we are all witnessing similar things happening, like in California, which has also outlawed cash bail for those who cannot afford it. The state is also cutting funding for the LAPD. They're downsizing the hardcore gangs unit, and guess what? California has more violent crime than any other state in the nation. So if you like California, you like New York, you're going to love Biden's socialist utopia. By the way, also both are sanctuary states, meaning they shield even criminal illegal immigrants. Even those that get out of jail for violent crimes, they are protected by these states from deportation and enforcing the law of the land. But if you're a law-abiding citizen with no criminal record, work hard, pay your taxes, obey the laws, tries to follow the regulations, you better mask up, you better follow all of the COVID protocols, you better get all of your required permits, or you'll probably go straight to jail and your business could be shut down. You could face serious life-altering consequences. And God forbid if you want to hold a church service somewhere. Now, unless you're California Governor Gavin Newsom, who in the middle of his state's draconian lockdowns enjoyed his maskless dinner at that fancy restaurant with a large group of friends, doesn't seem too distant to me. See, when Democrats have all the power, the rules don't apply to their magnificent leaders. They'll defund the police and they hire armed guards. They'll shut down the public schools because of COVID and send their own kids to private schools, just like Gavin Newsom. They'll ban guns and then enjoy the services of their own state-backed private security, armed.Maybe this is why every single city in the U.S. with a high rate of violent crime is run by Democrats and has been for decades.
President Joe Biden in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, selling his massive $2.25 trillion. He calls it infrastructure plan, although a lot of it isn't just about roads, bridges, and tunnels. A lot of it has to do with race-based payments, a climate army, places to plug in your electric vehicle. But Dana, it's not just $2.25 trillion. This is just a start. He said he's got another $2 trillion coming in the pipeline. How do you see this thing going?
Well, I think it'll be probably pretty popular right out of the gate. And then as people start to learn more about it, it'll probably drop off as, he's coming out here. He's not going to get all that he wants in this bill. What's interesting is that the chief of staff, Ron Klain, has had so many meetings with the progressives. So forget that the Republicans might oppose it. The progressive caucus doesn't even like it because they say it doesn't spend enough. Yesterday we were talking about how roads and bridges should be very popular. People like roads and bridges. They want the roads and bridges to be safe. If that's what was in this bill, then you probably could get bipartisan support. But there's a lot of other things in here. You mentioned a couple of them. I just want to mention one other thing. There's something in the bill called the PRO Act. And that would basically end right to work in 27 states. Which basically means that keeps workers from having to pay union dues, basically. So that's pretty egregious, right? To use, yet again, a national bill to try to usurp state laws. This is what they're also trying to do with H.R. 1 when it comes to 35 states that have voter ID laws. If you care about states' rights, and conservatives do, or used to, no, I'm kidding, they do. That would be another example of it. They're also going to have a hard time with the taxes. You have all of these people in America that are just getting back on their feet and back to work, and then all of a sudden, you're going to be hit with a whole bunch of higher taxes. And I don't believe that it will only be taxes on people making $400,000 or more. The corporate tax increases will definitely trickle down to all of us, everybody, rich and poor.
Yeah, Dagan, I noticed him taking a big swing at the corporate tax policy. He's been in Washington his whole life. He wrote that corporate tax policy that let corporations go offshore and take profits and build factories. Now he's going to come in and rearrange the game. It just doesn't pass the smell test. Then he takes a shot at the Trump tax cuts and said that didn't work out for the middle class. I believe the average middle class family got a $5,000 raise in just 3 years under Donald Trump. That was pretty historic.
The vast majority of Americans got a tax cut, so it makes me steaming mad when I hear people talk about the tax cuts for the rich from the Trump tax cuts. What the Trump tax cuts, taking the corporate rate down to 21% and deregulating large swaths of the economy, what it did was rank and file workers' wages were finally growing at a faster pace than their bosses. They were growing at the fastest, before the pandemic, the fastest pace in at least a decade for rank and file workers. The income inequality in this country was shrinking. The unemployment rate fell to a 50-year low. So Joe Biden is going to reverse that. It is laughable to say, oh, we're only raising the corporate tax rate back to 28%. I pointed out yesterday, that's higher than China's. So if this is meant to make us better at competing with China, that's a lie. And it also takes it would push the U.S. corporate tax rate back to the top of the pack among major economies. But this was hard to listen to. Joe Biden hacking up the word casserole that he's been spoon-fed by his people over the last few days. Quite frankly, it took weeks. It reads better, at least on paper, than it did with him barfing it up, which was not appetizing or palatable. But just one quick thing, we can talk about the inflation implications, how this is going to hurt wage growth, how this is going to hurt job growth, and how with $6 trillion in spending so far, in the last year how that's going to send prices skyrocketing and you have too much money chasing too few goods and services. You get stagflation. It's like the 1970s. But before I go, his people might want to give him a couple of Sudafed and a Red Bull if he's going to speak about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, because he was faded.
No shit.
I think he was definitely faded from the flight to Pittsburgh. There's no doubt about that. Brian Kilmeade, Long Island guy. You take the train, you see the airports around here, you drive over the potholes. Would you focus on that type of infrastructure, or would you build a lot of electric car charging stations for all the Tesla drivers on the LIE?
Good, great question. A couple of things. They did rebuild LaGuardia, and he does deserve credit for it. He walked through it one day when he was vice president. He mocked it, and they have rebuilt it. The fact that everyone stopped flying for a year allowed them to accelerate it, so it's definitely a huge help. I was just speaking with Kevin Brady while we were going over this. We have to stop looking at Joe Biden as a uniter, somebody who's in the middle of the road, likes to bring people together, who's amiable. First, he totally mischaracterized the Georgia voting bill and said it was sick, and it's totally inaccurate. Even the Washington Post called him out. Then he just said this big tax cut that Trump, not even President Trump, but Trump passed, was only for the rich. With $3 of every $4 actually went to families, where $1 trillion flowed back into the United States. He's now upping our corporate tax rate to equal with Syria as well as France, and he also said, this is quote, as I look at this whole thing and what it's spending on, you mentioned green technology, you mentioned that he's going to be building, he's going to be retrofitting 1 million buildings. With what? He's getting rid of windows, I believe, and now he's getting all these charging stations. He called it, as it reads now, the biggest economic blunder in our lifetime. And yeah, I give him credit for calling Mitch McConnell, but this whole first plan is problematic because it's green-oriented. I believe there should be some cognizant ability to make that transition. We can't keep kidding ourselves, we're ready to get off fossil fuels, but I'm worried about the next one, the human infrastructure. Yeah. Human infrastructure seems like socialism, guys.
Yeah, and if they retrofit every single building here in Manhattan, I'm going to have a headache with all the hammering. It's enough already.
Fox News alert, fairness is overrated. Those words from a top network news anchor accepting a journalism award Tuesday night. NBC nightly news anchor Lester Holt at the 45th Edward R. Murrow Symposium saying reporters don't necessarily need to hear both sides of a story before determining the, quote, truth, and warning that the media should stop giving a platform to what he considers misinformation. Watch.
I think it's become clearer that fairness is overrated. The idea that we should always give two sides equal weight and merit does not reflect the world we find ourselves in. That the sun sets in the west is a fact. Any contrary view does not deserve our time or attention. Decisions to not give unsupported arguments equal time are not a dereliction of journalistic responsibility or some kind of agenda. In fact, it's just the opposite.
Critics say Holt was essentially...
Where would he be without affirmative action?
Signaling liberal reporters to cover the news from a one-sided perspective. He spoke the night before. Molly Hemingway published a scathing editorial in the Federalist. She writes, average Americans need to stop reading and watching the corrupt corporate media. They should immediately stop subscribing to them, stop advertising with them, and stop paying attention to them. Reporters at these outlets quite obviously hate many Americans and the values they hold, and it's time most Americans realized that and acted appropriately in response. You are watching Outnumbered. I'm Emily Compagno, and here today, Fox News correspondent Jillian Turner, Fox News contributor Lisa Booth, syndicated radio host and Fox News contributor Leslie Marshall, and in the virtual center seat, the one and only Tucker Carlson, host of the new Fox Nation series Tucker Carlson Today, and also host of Tucker Carlson Tonight on Fox News Channel. Welcome to you all. I'm so excited for today. We're going to have such a great show. Tucker, especially welcome
for this show.
So I'd like to start with you. Absolutely. I'd like to start with you on your top line thoughts.
What'd you ask?
Wasn't there a black chick that was hosting Outnumbered?
Yeah, she's gone.
Did they get rid of her?
Yeah, they got rid of everybody. Yeah, that Marie Harf and shit. She started that stuff with the Soros thing.
Yeah.
Remember that? All of those motherfuckers are gone.
Is that why she was booted?
I think that yeah. That well, it was like two of them bucked up on it, you know, and it was like and then the main person she stepped down, I think, and so it is what it is, right?
Right.
Was Lester Holt's comments, were they essentially not only a call to action for journalists as arbiters of truth, but were they also giving permission? And your thoughts on Molly Hemingway's criticism?
Well, they're grotesque. I mean, fairness is never overrated. Fairness.
Why is it all a bunch of girls?
Fairness is always the goal, not simply in journalism, but in life. If you don't strive to be fair, then you're, certain to commit moral atrocities. That's, again, not just true for network news readers. And by the way, when did news readers become sort of philosophers? I think Lester Holt seems like a perfectly nice guy, but you don't turn to Lester Holt for deep think. I mean, the truth is, he's saying that we know what we know and we shouldn't question it, when in fact the reality of life suggests that's completely wrong. There are plenty of things we think we know that we don't know. I mean, we for thousands of years imagined that, the sun revolved around the earth. We imagined the food pyramid was correct. We imagined just last year that masks didn't work. I mean, the point of journalism is to continuously press against what we think we know, demand evidence, and show it to the public. It's not to affirm what the ruling class declares, which is basically what he's saying. It's like demented, actually.
And he sort of got in front of it by saying, look, you may think that a dereliction of duty would be to ignore the other side, but in fact, it's the opposite. It would be a dereliction of our journalistic duty if we did cover what he deemed misinformation, Tucker.
Yeah, right. So our job is to make the other side shut up. Our job is to run interference from those powerful people in the world and suppress contrary opinion. I mean, that's basically saying
I don't like it.
What?
I don't like it.
Tim asked why there was all girls in the tech, and I said it's because his charisma and testosterone levels are through the roof.
No, this is a show called Outnumbered, where it's all women and one guy.
Oh, how annoying and boring.
Well, he was owning them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm glad he's owning them, but it's. Wow, this is so blasé. Sorry, I'm so tired of this boy versus girl, male versus female thing. I'm over it. I'm way over it.
I was just making a joke, but yeah.
I know.
You may think that a dereliction of duty would be to ignore the other side, but in fact, it's the opposite. It would be a dereliction of our journalistic duty if we did cover what he deemed misinformation, Tucker.
Yeah, right. So our job is to make the other side shut up. Our job is to run interference from those powerful people in the world and suppress contrary opinion. I mean, that's basically saying we're the Praetorian Guard for the people in charge, and our job is to make everyone else be quiet so the people who pay us can do exactly what they want. And that's just like a perfect inversion of what journalism is supposed to be. It's supposed to, of course, in the famous formulation, it's supposed to, make the powerful uncomfortable and comfort the afflicted. But that's the opposite of what it does. They take the weakest people in our society and they hurt them, and then they suck up to the most powerful, obviously, and that's why everyone hates them, and for good reason. Biology has been effectively eliminated from American universities. Colleges are teaching students that the subject is subjective, which means not real. There's no absolute. Biology. If someone identifies as a woman, that person is a woman. That person says his or her pronoun is they or z, you gotta call them they or z. And if you disagree, if you believe in biology, if you have some attachment to English grammar, you are punished. And that's what happened to Nicholas Merriweather. He's a professor at Shawnee State University in Ohio, and the school reprimanded him in 2016 for referring to a student as Mr. instead of Miss. Administrators also forced Merriweather to use made-up pronouns like Z and XE, we're not sure how to pronounce that, or ter. He was told to avoid gendered terms like mother and father. Well, like a lot of people in this country, Nicholas Merriweather was bullied by lunatics, but he rarely decided to fight back. He filed a First Amendment lawsuit, and he just won his case in the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. We're happy to have Nicholas Merriweather join us tonight, along with Kristen Wagner, who is the senior legal counsel at Alliance Defending Freedom. Thank you both so much for coming on. So first to you, Professor, that's it's amazing that you won. I never think of people as fighting back against this. What made you decide to take them to court?
Well, basically, if I had not, I would have been fired. I would have been terminated. That was one reason. It wasn't the only reason. The other reason was, as you say, as you just said, I think we need to stand up against it. And I do think that we are losing our academic freedom. We're losing our freedom to disagree. And unless and until people stand up to it, I think it's just going to get much, much worse, much, much faster.
Kristen, tell us what the legal precedent that you've set in this case is that others can use to win.
Well, we won on both free speech and free exercise grounds, and the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals said very clearly that the use of titles and pronouns is a part of a debate that this nation is engaging in right now, and that those terms are infused with great meaning, that it's not the government's role to set the terms of that debate or to weigh in on one side or the other. In fact, the court's decision actually referenced what would happen if the government demanded ideological purity. It used examples like the government could then force a pacifist, for example, to have to support war. It could force a civil rights icon to criticize the freedom riders, or it could even force a Christian to deny the existence of God. Those are examples that the Sixth Circuit itself recognized, and it basically said if the government has that kind of power, it can essentially do almost anything it wants. That power is unlimited.
Well, the truth always does something. I just can't tell you how pleased I am to hear this and how grateful I am to both of you for fighting it. Thank you. I think you did all the service. Thank you. Congratulations.
Well, my next guest, Calvin Robinson, is a British commentator and free speech warrior. He writes for many UK publications, including The Guardian, The Daily Telegraph, and, of course, The Spectator. And he's a senior fellow at Policy Exchange. Calvin is also a former assistant principal and an expert in education, along with many other things, including being a staunch critic of the BBC, which he believes should be defunded. We might need Calvin out here as well to work on the ABC, defund the ABC campaign. And he abhors. Calvin abhors and has fought tooth and nail against critical race theory. This is this insane neo-Marxist academic garbage that is behind all the current racial...
So it's the idea that if you're not overtly racist, you are somehow hiding them on national health.
Royals are racist, and that one of their family, and they wouldn't say who, questioned what colour skin the baby would have. Now it's now claimed that Lady Colin Campbell is now suggesting it was Princess Anne. Do you believe her? Does it matter? What's your take on it?
You know, this is a horrible situation. It's not the first time a royal prince has married a divorced American who has kind of tried to tear down our British institutions. What's happening here is that Meghan Markle is relaunching basically all the skin colour of the royal baby. I mean, that's a topic of interest for everyone. I look as a platform.
Honest, as an Asian woman, in the UK, Asian means India, Pakistan. It's my Asian culture that has tried to hold me back more than any racism I have faced. She's now, of course, being attacked, but would you agree with her?
Well, absolutely. I've suffered more racism this past year since the Black Lives Matter movement than I have in the entirety of my adult life, and that has been mostly from other ethnic minorities calling me words that I won't say on this network because I don't subscribe to their worldview. These people don't want equality. They don't want diversity of thought and opinion. They want to control us. They want to control the left. Want to control our vote in particular. We've seen that with Joe Biden saying, if you don't vote for the Democrats, you ain't black. We've seen it in the UK with Jeremy Corbyn saying that Labour will unlock your potential if you're an ethnic minority. This is how they get their vote base. They want to hold the ethnic minority people down in order to patronize them and say, we'll support you, we'll help you. You know what? People don't need help and support in that way, in that patronizing way. We are all equal. We're all human beings and we should be treated that way. And let's also address the fact that racism isn't an issue of white on black. Anyone can be racist and anyone can experience racism.
I did make a mistake during our Catterday segment. I used a submitted photo of a cat with an inappropriate name. I don't want to use the name here, but I never intended to hurt or offend anyone by using that picture that was actually just given to me. I understand my mistake and I am deeply sorry. And in the future, I will absolutely be more diligent with this content to ensure it never happens again.
Oh, goddammit, do we get
It's
below zero right now, so certainly this is kind of weather for cats. So we got a Saturday night forecast for you now, where we are featuring
Kittler.
Kittler? Kittler. You can imagine what it looks like.
That's what she had to apologize for.
Oh, they don't show the cat? God damn it.
We are witnessing what is an unprecedented effort
Yep, and
around
we're
the
back
country
at
from the
Hannity. But yeah, that was the end of that. It's kind of terrifying that people have to do these disclaimer things now because she got tricked into using that picture, which is it's a meme and shit. Kittler.
Oh Jesus! I see it on the watch page.
Yeah,
It's a meme.
It's a meme, man. Yeah,
Kittler. He's not a kid. That's not even one. There's a better one out there that
yeah, no shit, man.
There's the Hitler cat, and that's not Hitler cat.
There's a lot of Kittlers out there, and I would totally adopt one of them.
Yeah.
Kit Gatler.
All right. Well, so what we're gonna do is we'll go ahead and just slide back into since I boomered up the fucking. Oh Lord, yeah, man. I've never done that. Set a thing to render and forgot that I have a certain parameter that I use when I render stuff, and I totally forgot to set that. And it was like, okay, so you just want this 30 seconds or less than 30 seconds. It was about 4 seconds. But yeah, all right. So somebody was saying earlier, I think shouting at clouds that the way I put this together makes it seem like something diabolical is going on, and I'm like, well, that's kind of why I do this, right?
That's by design.
It's not even irate designing it. It's just how the shit's coming out.
Yeah, it's like I do spend a little time arranging the stuff, and sometimes I spend more times than other times, especially when I haven't been playing Blade Runner for fucking every night. So
you're welcome,
dude. Indeed, I totally appreciate that, man. And supposedly they're coming out with the new. They're rebuffing. I don't know what they're doing or how they're doing it, but they're going to make it. It may be available on Steam coming up, so that might be fun.
Sweet.
Yeah, have you ever retired a human by mistake, Mr. Deckard? Y'all never seen the original movie?
No, never by mistake.
Yeah,
I was trying to remember the next line.
it's called The Magic. Yeah, they talk about that, having the magic, where they don't even have to voice comp them; they can tell just by how they act. Yeah, and also, oh yeah, man, something I might want to do, if there's enough positive response, I might do a showing of the movie They Live.
Nice. That movie.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah, because there's certain people that are in this stream that haven't seen it before.
What?
Yeah.
I have actually seen that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would not
movie.
know who that person is.
And that movie is perfect for the times.
No, it's cool, man. It's like, I've been turning back on to some really fucked up movies, man, like Martyrs. and L'Intérieur, also known as Inside. Man,
Awesome movies.
Yeah, both of those are good, man. There's more. There's more French fucked up out there, and I'm getting it. And also we'll look at Uzumaki coming up too. Is what I want to do. Just,
I'm looking forward to it,
dude. The spiral that never ends. And what's amazing is some of these things, these live action, the mangas are gorgeously drawn. It's like I don't understand why they don't translate that to, I don't know, anyway. I get on these aesthetic bands. It's like, what's he talking about, people? I don't know.
Yeah, don't get me started on the quality of art within the Vampire Hunter D mangas and the shows they produced. Don't even get me started.
Right. Well, Berserk actually looks good. The new version, right?
The Keanu Reeves version, or
I don't know. It's not him. It's just it's a new.
So the classical anime.
Yeah, and it's good. It's good stuff. I recommend it. Actually, I'm not a big manga or anime dude. As I was talking to Trippy earlier, it's like I don't. The adult cartoon like thing kind of missed me by a couple years, I would say.
I get that.
Yeah.
Didn't really become all that super popular till about Family Guy's era. That was like 1999.
Yeah.
Or maybe South Park, and I think that was 97 or 98. South Park's been around a long time.
97.
That fucking probe episode. Is that the first one?
Oh, that was the second episode.
It might be. I can't remember. It's the first one I saw.
You ever been probed by an alien?
Cartman sure did. Oh, ever been probed on weed? That was back when Jon Stewart didn't look like he sat in a bunker all day worrying.
Yeah, well, all right, so Greg Gutfeld's been missing all week because he's starting a new show next week, and it's designed to compete with like Jimmy Fallon and what's his name, Colbert.
Yeah, Red Eye used to do that.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be more stylized, and I think he's going to have like real celebrity guests and shit.
Colbert's just a pussy.
Or he may be just he may come out straight and just do do his own monologues and shit.
Colbert totally hid behind, it's just a character I play. Motherfucker.
Colbert used to be funny, and now
he was funny.
That was a character.
Well, his sister's a apparatchik in North Carolina or South Carolina, where their government, his people are in government. Yeah. So he's been an op from the day one.
No shit. I didn't.
And I don't mean necessarily he's a glow in the dark or anything, but he's probably a glow in the dark. Just say it.
You're probably right.
Man. But yeah, I think that a lot of people have so much problem, especially when they start the double standard thing is what gets me, man. It just fucking drives me batshit crazy. I want to throw shit. I want to hit things. I think like a gorilla, Oh, speaking of, I did watch Godzilla versus King Kong last night.
Oh yeah.
I liked it. I dug it. I thought it was great.
I heard it's pretty damn good.
It's fun, man. Dude, it was total popcorn. Uzi's like, I don't want to watch this shit. And, and she's like in the middle of it. Hey, it's not bad. It's a good popcorn movie. So, I recommend it.
Original Tax Day is coming up in, like 12 days. Lots of people right now are going to be doing shit that they don't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Besides doing their taxes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I already did mine. I had to bend over for the state for $1.
Our national gets screwed with no lube day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And don't you feel like you've really accomplished something? Filling out paperwork that all total could probably cost like $5 or $10 to create and print.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so that you can discover that you owe $1 or they owe you $1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never understood why the tiny amounts matter. Sorry, Becca. I didn't mean to catch
Every
up.
penny matters.
Goddamn penny.
Jesus.
Squeeze it out of us.
I'm not allowed to make that joke. God damn it.
Hey, do you know what we're doing tomorrow night? Are we finishing that Carlin Borshenko thing?
I think we are.
Okay, because I think the title I've titled it "We're Never Going to Finish This Damn Video" or something like that. I've been on that XD with Excel and Tema. I've been just giving these titles just. My favorite is Painful Rectal Edge. I think that was probably the best.
Really good.
But yeah, I've been
Really
I've been naming it stuff like that. So I've been having fun.
Hey, I know some people that are also should be named that because that's what dealing with them is like.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. But man, so let's see. I guess I didn't even introduce everybody and do the ABCs. Damn it. Let's go ahead and do the chill out. The chill out, and we'll do it now. We'll do A is for Atema.
Hi, everybody. This is Atema the Hun. You can find me on Gab as Atema the Hun. You can find me on Discord as Atema the Hun. And I don't know, I pay attention to comments on my videos, but I haven't done anything with my channel in a couple of years. So good luck actually talking to me, I guess. Not really. I sound like an idiot right now. Tomorrow we'll be doing XD. I think we're still doing the Carlin Borishenko video. And other than that, I don't know. I'll run some stuff by you behind the scenes and see what you say. Irate. And
Sure.
Other than that, I don't know what's going on right now. And that's it. I'm done talking. Sorry, guys.
All right, B is for Becca.
No stream tomorrow as I have family coming in for Easter weekend, but there will be a stream Sunday night at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, and that's on my channel. And I'm a little behind in dropping links in the chat, but watch those for those guys.
Everybody, drop your links in the chat. Make sure you subscribe to everybody here. Please donate to their awesome causes. Miss Shagon, C is for Shagon.
Hey, I don't have anything of my own to show anytime immediately, but tomorrow check out Insomnest. That'd be 5 o'clock Central. Unless they start early. I don't think that they are, but I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, all right. So where y'all on the trial or the investigation?
They were. Yeah, so they've been kind of watching Waco, and I think that they're still working on that.
Man, there's like 5,000 hours of that shit. Holy
I know.
God.
I'm like, they try to speed it up because there's a lot.
No shit. I know. I would do the same thing.
The timing of it kind of pisses you off. Like you see a lot of, like parallels there with the government.
And it's interesting. These last two, the guy today. They both ended up being Muslim extremists and shit.
Oh yeah, no one talk about that. That's not.
Totally against
it was white supremacy.
That's right. There was white supremacist MAGA people.
Yeah, that wasn't a Louis Farrakhan.
They
Islamic
found a
Nation
MAGA hat
assault
near
guy.
the scene of the crime. Yeah, right.
No.
All right, so R is for roasted opinions.
Hey guys, I've been kind of taking a little bit slower approach to my videos, but you can tune into my channel where I've got lots of videos about various subjects that interest me.
Indeed. S is for Stone Monkey.
I stream here, and I stream with Gaming and Yelling randomly, and I will eventually do content again. I don't know. I'm lazy. You have to force me to do it, basically.
Okay. And of course, T is for Trippypoop.
I'm Trippypoop. I put my link in the chat. You guys should just tweet that shit.
That's right.
Do it again. But yeah, I'm
Do
kind of a
it
random
again.
day streamer.
That's right.
And Sunday we got a show. I know I got a show. There will be a show. I just don't know what's on that show.
Are you
There
going
you
to
go.
bring back the game show thing?
I'm trying to.
Yeah, I love that shit. That's fun. You make it
Got
fun,
any
man.
background and shit that I haven't shown nobody.
Yeah. No, you showed us. I know. Ooh, Did I was mum the word on that shit? And I just
Yeah, somewhat. I
I'm
haven't
sorry.
shown it to the audience yet.
Well, y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Take it back.
Yeah.
Pretend like you didn't hear
I
that
need to
shit.
know it's going to be there one of these damn days. It's supposed to be Sunday, but I don't want to like overwork Captain Corrosive.
I'll join you on that trippy, by the way.
Cool.
Yeah.
You can? Which one?
Yeah, tomorrow
good.
or Sunday. Not
Cool.
Sweet. See, man, we're making love connections everywhere, people. You know, that's because that's what it's about. All right. So, and let's see. And on my deal, of course, we just talked about XD. Sunday, it's going to be a surprise because I neglected to acknowledge that it was Easter, and my guest was scheduled to kind of have some shit come up family wise. So I said, hell, that's a fortuitous event for me. Okay. Because I've been kind of feeling like I'm burning out. And you know what? If I can figure out how to stream Blade Runner, I may do that. But if I can't, you know what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to be trying to resurrect Cthulhu himself. So, so we do, have fun with the that game is incredible, man. The Shore, I totally love it. And on Monday, Beck and I are going to be the name of the broadcast. It's an old broadcast and it's public domain. All right, don't even think about it, assholes. All right, this is called KGB Connections. All right, and we may have to chop it into 3 or 4 parts, or it's in 2, but I think there's a way to do it. Always lost and nothing else says roll tide. I say roll tide back. Always.
Sorry about that.
Rammer Jammer, Yellowhammer, give 'em hell, Alabama.
I totally want to shout gig 'em right now, and I'm going to be a nice girl and not.
I'm not Giga.
No, gig 'em.
I'm not
Gig 'em.
Oh, gig 'em. Oh, yeah, okay.
No, I'm doing a college station thing, y'all.
Horn Frogless, right? We're down with that shit. We know what you're talking about. I even know what the zips are. If you're Akron, the Akron Zips. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's say goodbye. I'm ready to get out and let our fantastic chat, who's been excellent. JP, like I said, next Friday I will take you out of the corner. I will remove you from timeout and or what's
Still has to
known
wear
as
the dunce cap though.
Yeah, the padded cell.
Yeah.
For a few more days.
You may wear yeah, indeed. And on that note, let's say bye, everybody, and we're out.
Bye. And
I'm out.
enjoy your hug jacket, JP. Whatever, lots of letters and numbers.
Indeed. Thanks, Johnny. When I say Johnny Bond, you say Sacco. Johnny Bond. Johnny Bond. Thanks, everybody. See y'all tomorrow night, and then just keep your eye open on Sunday.